Yeah, yes, guys. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome back to another show, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. It's going to be a bit of a debate show, talking about Liverpool's summer transfer dealings and do we trust the ball? Do we trust Jurgen Klopp to rebuild the summer and the way we want it to rebuild as fans? Joining me today on this, I've got Baz. How you doing, Baz?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Big up to everybody in the chat. Make sure you're smashing the likes and you sit tight.
And Fozzie, how you doing, my man?
Oh, good, guys. Oh, good. Big up. Thanks for having us on, Jamie, man. Appreciate that, mate.
Welcome,
Big
welcome.
Up, chat.
And guys, you know what to do. Hit that like button as soon as you come in, guys. Subscribe if you've not, and also like and subscribe to the guys' channels below as well. I'd appreciate it. We're all one Liverpool community around here, so just show the love everywhere, guys. And and big up to everyone. I was away for a few days of the weekend break at in Kettering, of all places, for a family's 21st birthday. So good weekend away, refreshed, ready to go. Obviously didn't do the Villa game, but let's just quickly touch on that, guys. So Aston Villa won, Liverpool won. Bobby Firmino's last game, Milner's last game, and the other two. It was a strange game considering the form we've been in at home to Villa. What was your thoughts on the game, Baz?
I think personally we played the occasion. We forgot there was actually a match. But you know, there was some stuff contributing factors. You know, like issues with refereeing decisions. You know, stuff like that. But then Aston Villa, listen, they've been brilliant. You know what I mean? From where they were earlier on in the season to what they are now, they've got a good manager. That's just like, you know, stabilize that team. Got players like one of them, that Tyrone Mings, playing better football, you know what I mean, defending better and stuff, barring that, you know, that tackle and stuff like that. But yeah, I just think it was a tall order, to be fair. It was possible, still is possible, but look, we just came against an Aston Villa team that was just organised on the day, just came in and wanted to get points or a point at least, and they got that. I think we could have done a lot better, but hey, you know, it is what it is.
No, that's a good point. It's a good point. And your thoughts on it, Fozzie?
Yeah, mate. It's just one of those games, isn't it? Like, no matter what we do, it didn't look like we're going to win that game. Like in the first half, we didn't even create a chance. We didn't even hit the target in the first half, if people can remember the game. Aston Villa is just a well-organised team now. It's very hard to break down, and we're still struggling with that. That's another thing as well we need to sort out next season. We need to get the right personnel for us to open up these deep line defending teams. You know what I mean? And like Baz said, it was just the occasion. I mean, we're too drawn into the players leaving than actually focusing on the game more, if you know what I mean. And it was just one of those games, mate. No matter what we've done, we wasn't going to win that game. And we could talk about the referee decisions, but sometimes you got to look at the game as a whole. You know what I mean? The game as a whole, we should have won that outright. We don't need the decisions to win games. Let's just win it with talent that we've got on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Big up, Luke. How you doing, man?
How we doing? It's been a while. Just been so busy, really busy. But hope you're all doing well, guys.
It was a good man.
Yeah, shame obviously we didn't win at the weekend, but we look forward to next season from the sounds of it.
Yeah, we're just chatting about, because obviously I went around to do the Villa game, so I just wanted your guys' opinion on it. Like my opinion, like the rest of the guys there, I think the occasion of people like Milner and Bobby and that having their last game, I think it was more about that Anfield and actually winning the game on Saturday. You know, if Liverpool in their hearts of hearts believed top four was a possibility, I think you would have seen a much better performance. But I think they performed in a way that it was more of a party and a celebration. The fans were not upset 1 minute in the game. They just kept singing Bobby's name, Milner's name, pretty much the whole match, Luke, didn't they? So it's hard to be, you know, if we go back this time last year, we took Man City to the last game of the season. Yeah, things have changed this season, obviously. But how did you feel over the game, Luke?
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I think a lot of it was, you know, a lot of people were, you know, including myself, we was obviously obviously looking at the emotional side of it, that Bobby was obviously it's his last game at Anfield. You know, James Milner, you know, two legends of the football club, you know, that have given us some great memories. You know, we sort of took our eye off the game itself, which, you know, Aston Villa are a very good side. I think Unai Emery's done a brilliant job since he's been at Aston Villa. He's got them into a Conference League place. I mean, I think he took them over, I think, when they were like 16th or something like that. And looks like he's going to finish in the Conference League with Aston Villa. So, like, we should have been a bit more alert, I think, on the game itself. I don't think we were good enough. I know there was a couple of refereeing decisions that obviously, you know, I don't know how Tyrone Mings is still on the pitch. You know, I think that's a red card, but we got away with one a couple of weeks ago with Jota on Harry Kane. So, you know, I always believe it does balance itself out a little bit. And then obviously the goal itself, I know there's been some angles that have shown if Konsa actually plays a deliberate attempt to play the ball. Some angles show he might have, some angles show he doesn't. But I think in the context of the game, Jamie, I don't think we were good enough in the first minute.
No.
And I thought Villa were very good, maybe to even get all 3 points in all honesty. I don't think Liverpool were that good at the weekend. But, you know, we take the positive from it. Obviously, Bobby scored. You know, it was a good farewell appearance for him, getting the goal to equalise. You know, we're still unbeaten. I think it's 8 games now we're unbeaten in the league. Obviously, we're 7 wins out of 8. So, yeah, we've just got to go into this Southampton game at the weekend, try and get the 3 points, and then hopefully we can get our summer transfer activity wrapped up early before pre-season.
Well, that's what we're going to chat about in a bit. G, my man, it's been a while. How you doing?
I'm all good, bro, man. How you guys doing? Hope everyone's good in the chat.
You,
everyone's good on the panel. Hope you guys are blessed, man. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. We're just talking about the game Saturday. Your opinions on what happened?
Yeah, just caught the end of what Luke was saying. I agree. Everything he said. I don't think it was good enough. The disallowed goal that we had, I think it could have gone either way. And I think Luke was right again in saying that it kind of balances itself out in the season kind of thing. Mings, again, on the one side, I'm like, right, how was that not a red card? On the other side, I'm like, I can maybe see why in the actual pace of the game, it to me didn't look. At first, I was like, that's not really a red card. When you slowed it down, I was like, oh, I don't know, you know, that could be easily given as a red card. So it was like, you know, again, every Luke said, to be honest, as I caught the end there against Jota the other day against Tottenham, that should have been a red card. So it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But yeah, no, I don't even think we deserved the point, to be honest. I think Villa were everything they did was just more intense. They did what we usually do. They had more intensity, tenacious in the tackle, like Jacob Ramsey, McGinn, Douglas Luiz. They bossed the whole midfield. Like, they were really, really good. And our midfield, poor, attack, basically non-existent. Salah didn't do anything until he got that assist. So yeah, in defense, Kanate got the bozo gene. Like, he's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. He's a very, very funny. I love the guy, man. I think he's such a good defender, but sometimes he just has a bozo gene, so it comes out in moments like that kind of thing. Unfortunately. Who else is there? But yeah, Ali. I don't know how many times in a season I can say, thank fuck we have Alisson, because if he didn't, that save from Jacob Ramsey, that goes in, Liverpool 100% losing the game, 100%, because Villa will just shut up. Even if we scored, Villa will just shut up shop, and that's the game just over and done with. But Ali again, man, that guy. If he isn't getting a new contract, then we should just stop or negotiate. I heard Trent might be getting a new deal, potentially in the summer. Forget Trent; he's not that important. Like, in terms of if you're trying to figure out what you want to do moving forward, I'm like, sort Ali out, get him tied down for as long as you possibly can. Sort everybody else out after that, man. Because yeah, again, he saved our asses, man, and we can't keep saying that next season. You know what I mean?
Ali's incredible goalkeeper. There's no doubt about that.
Did you see just before we go, Jamie? Did you see the flop? Like, I saw like a flop 11, and I saw Ali in there. I was Ali. Like, is this a banter page? I didn't get it, but yeah.
We're trying to catch out the Liverpool fans, though, weren't they? They're trying to
but the thing is, at least of all the players that you could have picked, don't pick like if you like. They had Nunes in there. I was like, That's gonna rile up a few people, whatever, blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
Ali, like he's been like probably the best keeper in the league this season. Like that's just it.
Yeah, I think he was just going fishing for Liverpool fans, weren't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
I think,
yeah,
I think that's all that was, because even rival fans acknowledge Alisson. That's why.
Exactly.
Even
Is it
rival
like
fans.
that? And the weird thing is, I think with the goalkeeping position this season as well, I think Alisson definitely has been probably the best goalkeeper around the Premier League. But it's mad how De Gea's had a bad season. He's got the most clean sheets. Like people have been going on about these goalkeepers this year have been this, but mate, it's just been a weird season in general.
Yeah, it's an awful season for
It is an awful.
us and the Premier League in a whole, because obviously City have gone and done a three-peat. That I know everyone will talk about their off-the-field stuff that's going on with 115 allegations and all that. Okay, that's fair, but what they do on the pitch is just amazing, and
Exactly.
you just got to hold your hands up and say they're just the best team in world football right now.
Yep.
No, they made Real Madrid look like Chesterfield. I've never seen anything like it. The way they beat them up, Modric looked 37 in that game.
Yes, he looked his age, 100%.
Yeah.
Cruz can't run.
Nope.
Camavinga, I know why they keep him around, because he's versatile, but you play him left back against City, oh my God. I mean, he looked dreadful. Tchouaméni, I don't know what he's got to do to get a game. But yeah, it's a weird one.
That's a weird one. Yeah.
Maybe that transfer ain't going quiet at the moment. We'll talk about that in a bit. I was watching that game closely. I watched that game twice actually, because I was amazed what City done. And I watched it, and I was sitting there thinking, I was like, as football fans, do we overrate certain players about watching them sometimes and just think they're good?
Yeah,
because I look at Rodrigo for Real Madrid, yeah, and I always get people telling me he's the next big thing, he's the next best winger in world football. Look at him. So how many times do you actually watch him play? How many stinkers do people watch Rodrigo have in a season, or are only watching 3 or 4 games in Madrid when he looks good? Because I ain't having him over Jack Grealish.
I think, you know what I think, Jamie? I think in the modern day, it's just about hearsay. They'd hear from other people and then just follow through with it. You don't judge for yourself anymore. When we was younger, you just watched football, innit? In general, they just watched any kind of football. That's how much we love football back in the day. I think people just follow other people. That's what it is. I don't think they judge for themselves.
I agree with what he's saying. It's like a lot of people would say, as you said, like it's hearsay. Like if someone says, "Oh, he's a good player," like he must be a good player. But then you look at the world now, especially with football, especially with a lot of social media people on it. It's like, oh, well, look at the stats. I looked at his stats the other day. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't watch Real Madrid week in, week out. I might watch the odd few games. I watch him in the Champions League, but I see his stats. I think he's played over 40 games this year. He's got 12 goals, and it's like,
wow.
If you're supposedly one of the top wingers in European football when you've only got 12 goals in this Real Madrid team.
And especially the league he's playing in as well, Luke.
Exactly.
I mean,
like you can maybe get away with it in the Premier League. You put Jack Grealish in that argument. Like Grealish has been, second half of the season, he's been superb for Man City. But people will look at it and think, well, he's not really getting the goals and assists. But if you look at the way he contributes to the team, links up, etc., then you could have that argument. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm with you, Jamie, to be honest. I watched him the other night and he just, apart from the whole team looked inexistent, but I don't know how he was able to play 65, 70 minutes.
I wouldn't take any Madrid player over a Man City player the other night.
Nah.
I don't think. I know. I want to say one thing about the Vinny Jr. stuff first. Obviously, what happened with Vinny Jr. in Spain is disgusting. I saw the highlights of it when everyone's talking about it on Twitter, and I can't believe we're in 2023 and he's getting that kind of abuse. He's like, he's a superstar of a footballer who's got a lot of potential and a lot of ability and got a bright future. And again, it comes down to skin color again. Now, I'm not me and Luke maybe not the guys to talk about this, but it just pees me off. Like what? And then the president of La Liga come out with them weak ass. Oh man, it's
we're not racist or something like that along those lines.
It's just,
the worst part of it is Jamie and the panel. The worst part of it is when the commentator is saying he brings this stuff to himself by dancing and all that stuff. How do you say things like that? What, he's having fun on the pitch. He's scoring a goal. He's celebrating. What do you want him to do? Just stand still.
He's an
I think-
entertainer at the end of the day.
I think with someone like with this with this whole thing, like I always look at it like this. I think to myself, because you just said there, like, yeah, we're in 2023. To me, I don't even think the year even matters because
Nah, man.
yeah, I mean it's unfortunately it's just one of them kind of things, like whatever year it is, racism is it's deep rooted. So unfortunately, because it's deep rooted in just society in a general sense, football isn't going to be the thing to sort it out. That's a fact.
Nah.
That's never going to happen anyway. So
No.
football just need to find their own way of just trying to combat it in whatever ways they can, kind of thing. But when I think of it, I always think to myself, obviously I'm not a professional football player, and I'm definitely not someone who could have played for Real Madrid in any of my lifetime. So obviously when I think of someone like a Vinny Jr. playing for like the biggest club in the world, and I think about all of the pressures that he's already got, they all have, playing for Real Madrid. And then I think about, do you know, like the message that you as a team could send, and it's just a small message, if you just walked off the pitch and said, I'm not playing this game anymore. And I'm definitely not playing. Obviously, I don't know what sanctions they can and can't do, obviously within the laws of the game. They probably could do more or less anything if they wanted to. But whatever the sanction is, I'm not playing until that happens for that team. So as an example, no fans for Valencia for the whole of next season at every home game. Like, you know, just like something extreme, like whatever it would be. Like, I don't want to fine. I don't want to hear, you know, I don't want to, like, oh, you
The
ban
same
one
old
or
things
two.
that you keep reminding, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I've been here
You know what I
before.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like I've been here before. Like, you need to send some type of message. But then again, like I said, when I look at like a Real Madrid, I'm not saying that Vinny should have done it or shouldn't have done it, but that was just one of the things that popped into my head. I was like, what happens when a team just says, you know, I'm not playing anymore? Because again, biggest club in the world. Real Madrid are one of two teams in that league that if they were to just stop playing, that league would just go to shit ASAP, like real fast.
They rely on Real Madrid heavily now.
They rely on them. They
Yeah.
rely on
That
them.
league
So
to do.
imagine the type of, I know it's a small message and people might think, oh, you know, the authorities got to do more, blah, blah. And I agree 100%. But then unfortunately, because of the way it is, I look at it and I'm like, sometimes you have to also try and send a message for yourself. Obviously, what happened afterwards with the whole get sent, that's just him getting angry. The situation just got out of hand in what was happening and in certain other bits. You know, I don't even care about that. It's just really more about like the message that you could potentially send. Again,
G,
that's
can
just
I
one
ask
idea.
Can I ask you a question, G? Like,
Yeah,
as a whole, does football do enough? That's the question. We can't just speak about Spain. It happens over here as well. You know what I mean? So, as a whole, does football do enough? You know what I mean? That's what I want to. We can't just blame Spain. Over here, it happens. It happens in every other country as well.
The thing is, this is what I'm saying, is that football, because it's not football's job to be able to eradicate racism itself. Football are in a precarious position where it's like, we can only go by their letter of the law, blah, blah, blah. Fair enough. And I'm not even too fussed about that. My thing is, again, messages like players saying, I'm not playing in, because the players are more powerful than the letter of the law itself. If the players turn around, like I said, if they all turn around and said, I'm not playing again, ever again, until you do X, Y, or until you sort something out, or we're walking off the pitch and we're never going to come back to the stadium again, and whatever the case may be, it will hurt their pockets. And we know how football works. It's money that makes it go round. If Real Madrid starts saying, I'm not playing at Valencia Stadium, you know what? It happened at Atletico Madrid. I think it happened as well to Vinny. I'm not playing at that stadium. That's a derby game. So that's already a big game in their season. They're going to lose money off that. Broadcasting deals. Real Madrid are not going to look at him. They're not going to care in that kind of way because they know they're still bigger than La Liga themselves, kind of thing. So it's just those kind of things I start to think to myself, yes, we want authorities to do this, that, and the third, but we've got to then be realistic and say they can't by the letter of their own law that they have created. So because of that, players might have to start saying, you know what, I'm not playing anymore. Because if you start to take out all of these players, Vinny's probably the biggest star, so to speak, in La Liga, maybe at the moment, the biggest, like, big up and coming star, you know, in that league. If he walks out, who else is there? Benzema's on his way out, Modric's on his way out, Cruz on his way out.
Yeah,
Then you just got the
well, that's-
Barcelona guys who they're not really as big
They're
as
not really
Vini
as big
Jr.
as them.
It's
No.
it's a deep
Yeah, I'm saying,
lying
just
issue.
go.
It's a
Yeah.
deep lying issue. Beside, like you said, G, earlier, it's a society as a whole. It's the countries. It's everything. You know what I mean? Because it's not just people of of color. You even get it with white people, even abroad.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just a society as a whole, innit? And the thing is, Fozzie, all right, they football can actually do it, but remember, the world is all about money. You know what I mean? Like what Jesus was saying, that if he could do it, he'd probably go along those lines. And they are harsh. They're not harsh. They're realistic. For me, they're realistic because these are the things. These are the only way that people are going to learn, where it hits them in the pocket. But the problem is, you're going to get even you're corrupted or not corrupted, but your people from within the team that these players play for, they'll be like, well, we still need to play. You know what I mean? And it's a problem. It's just a problem in general, everywhere. Football, the world. Just unfortunately, you're gonna get these people, and it's just never gonna go away. It's just never gonna go. It's sad to say it, and no matter what we do, unless we are harsh and extreme with our punishments, and really think, right, this is not about money. This is not about anything. This is wrong. This is what's going to happen, and people accept it and not think about the money. That's what's going to happen.
I think that's the problem, though, Baz, and you're totally right. I mean, everything is just evolved around money. I mean, personally, I've had experience like with me refereeing Sunday League. It was about a couple of years ago. There was a team or a couple of teams that I refed, and then someone overheard a racial comment and come directly to me and was like, someone's obviously said this, said that. The first thing that I'd done in that situation, because me as a referee now, I'm like, I need to really try and stamp an authority down. I need to really try and escalate what's happened. I called both captains over. I actually asked the captain who was on the offending team sort of thing, who said the comment if it was said. And I said, right, what was said, who said what? And obviously didn't say nothing. They were like, no, nothing was said. So the first protocol that I did obviously that I thought that was the right thing to do was I told both sets of players to come off the pitch. And if no one wants to come forward and admit what was done, to try and, de-escalate the situation as much as I can, I didn't restart the game and I abandoned the game. And I think a lot more is what G is saying. I think that's the best way of doing it. And you said one thing and I totally agree with it. A lot of players, even though there is a laws of the game system, a lot of players, especially for clubs like Real Madrid, for example, they're a bit bigger than that. They can basically use that and go, right, I ain't playing. Like I ain't gonna sort of step foot onto this football pitch until something is done. Regarding what you were saying, Fozzie, I don't think we know if football are doing enough. I mean, obviously playing it behind closed doors is one thing, but you could also think about things like points deductions, out of competitions, for example. But then obviously you've got to make sure everything's 100% certain. Like, there's so like it's just it doesn't matter if it's 2023, 2020. It's just disgusting. It still carries on.
The reason I say that is it's just a carbon copy of every season. That's why I said that, bro. Like, it's enough being done. It's like I've been here before. Why am I talking about the same thing I talked about last year or the year before? Or the
But
year
it's
before?
like
It's just
it
boring.
it come like Arsenal doing, and I'm not trying to disrespect Arsenal, by the way. I'm not trying to disrespect any campaign that gets done. No, I don't want anyone to think, oh, you're being disrespectful.
Don't come after him, leave him.
Like, and big up any Arsenal fans if they are in the chat. But like, it's like when I saw the Arsenal, they wore like all white for the they wore all white kit for like their knife campaign or whatever. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, so does this mean that tomorrow we're going to see less knives on the streets of London?
More,
or does that change? Like I didn't understand what that was supposed to mean, and all it meant for me was it's a new kit that they are bringing out, which is an exclusive.
Yeah.
So then I was just like, so why? Like they then tried to caveat that, and I was listening. They were like trying to caveat and say, but we do obviously these initiatives, and this is supposed to be the symbol of that initiative. This isn't a symbol. This is just one of those kind of a money scheme, because now people are
Promotion
like, oh, I
kind of
want
thing,
that
yeah.
kit. I need to buy that kit. It was a nice kit, like all those kind of silly little things. And then they will tell you that they're still doing these campaigns and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, but none of these things are really working, so to speak, because the numbers are not really showing that. When you look at some of, not all of it, but some of the statistics, and I'm looking at, and I'm like, it doesn't really tell me that we're changing things that much, to be honest with you. Again, like you guys are saying, there are, I think, players, like Luke said, they're bigger than some of these clubs. Like we already know the deal with some of these. Maybe not bigger than the club, but they are bigger than maybe their leagues, so to speak.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at it, I'm like, you really think that Vinny's not bigger than La Liga? Of course he is. Benzema, not bigger? Of course he is. Right? These guys are way bigger than, you know what I mean, the kind of thing. And just on that note, when you're talking about someone like Suarez, let's not go down that route of supporting Suarez, because
he's a scumbag.
yeah, exactly. Like anyone who
Come on.
I would like to think, anyone who says, oh yeah, but he's no. I think the difference that people have with Suarez is that all you end up doing, and I don't want, there's a musician, I'm not going to name his name on air, but there's a musician who's obviously in jail at this current moment in time. What you end up doing is you separate the two. So you end up talking about the guy as a football player as opposed to the guy as a human being. As a human being, Suarez is a prick. Of course he's a prick. He's an absolute top prick.
Footballer, generation.
Football player. He's a fucking one of the best players I've ever seen in my life, but I can separate the two. And I'm not going to put the two together. So it is what it is.
By the way,
spot on.
we're not Liverpool fans talking about everyone being racist. I brought it up, the Vinny Jr. stuff on my show, that I'm just with Vinny Jr. in all this stuff. So yeah, I'm not. Don't come from a Liverpool standpoint. It's a human being like being racially abused for no reason, because it's ridiculous. But all right, let's move on. So the summer rebuild, guys, the summer big rebuild. Now, the reason I said can we trust Klopp and FSG is because James Milner did an interview for Liverpool TV after the game and basically said that Jurgen desperately wanted him to stay at the football club. He wanted to stay at the football club. But it was the board that stepped in and said no contract. So this is where I look at it now. And I come from, and the reason I think it's very important for us to talk about this as a fan base, because you get people like Jordan Henderson, let's say, right? Love the guy. He's been great for us. He's been at club, almost 12 years now. Been a great servant for the football club. It is time for Jordan Henderson to move on. But unfortunately, we're not pushing Jordan Henderson towards a front door and telling him it's time to go. This summer rebuild that everyone wants, in this midfield area especially, yes, these players are leaving our football club, like, especially them three there. So Milner, Naby Keita and Ox are leaving our football club. Now, they're in midfield. So people are saying we need 4 midfielders to come in this summer to replace the ones that are leaving. Now, with Naby Keita and Ox, they never played. So I don't know if you have to replace players that never played. So I'm not worried about that. My worry is if these guys accepted the new deals that Liverpool offered them, they'd still be here next season. And that's an issue to me because, look, Klopp's done great at this football club. People might hate him, people might like him, but he has done great at this football club, there is no doubt. But one of Klopp's main issues is that part that he's very supportive against players that he likes and rates. People he don't like, players he don't like, he's very happy of showing them the back door and never seeing them again. But players he likes and people, and it's a personality thing. You always hear with Jurgen, it's a personality thing. You know, Sacco didn't have a great personality. He tried to leave him on Alcatraz. There was, if you've got a good personality, you're a humble person, you're a good player, and you give your all, Klopp will keep you about. And the issue here is going forward, Baz, ain't it? Do FSG need to just step in and go, look, we're getting these players are leaving, like it or not, or does Jurgen have the final say?
I think he definitely needs to have some kind of say in it for sure. But I mean, the examples there that you just said, like, some of these players, like, all right, let's just like Milner. Look, we all know we love the guy and stuff, and he always gives you a decent performance when he plays, but he's just not at it anymore. And the same thing's going to happen with Henderson. What the thing is, I know people's view that people look at me and think, all right, yeah, I'm a Jurgen Klopp out. I do love the guy. He's brought so much success to this club. You know what I mean? In my time, anyway. But sometimes you've got to look at it. But the thing is, Liverpool have always been a community club. They're just never going to fling a player out, no matter what. Even if you had like a Jose Mourinho or someone that's harsh, you know what I mean? We don't treat our players like that. But, you know, we need to accept sometimes that when these players are this favoritism, okay, it definitely needs to stop. Because if you said that Naby signs a new deal, you know, Ox signs a new deal, or Milner signs a new deal, we're going to get the same old thing. You know, Klopp saying, oh, Ox is like a new signing. Wait next year. He's like a fresh signing. Milner can offer us this, can play in different positions. You know what I mean? And yeah, we're a big club. Let's not forget that. We're a club that needs to be challenging for titles, and you need the elite players. Or if we can't get the ones, you know, through money or whatever, yeah, you go and get the plan Bs and stuff like that. But you still need to improve. And these players they've been great for Liverpool, but it's simple. I'm not trusting Klopp. I'm not going to lie. I'm not trusting Klopp in this, because if it had it his way, these players would still be there next season, and we're going to get the issues of, no, we've got 10 midfielders. It's fine.
That's a good point, man. Fozzie, I know you're anti-FSG, pro Klopp, which I know, which I think a lot of us are more than FSG. Yeah. But we have to have serious discussions here. We know there's issues around, and the fact that Jurgen wanted to keep Milner around and the ball stepped in, that's a bit that, and I wouldn't believe this, but it came from Milner's mouth himself. So
I was about to say, if it came out of his mouth, I mean, you know, sometimes we say things and it doesn't come out of the player's mouth, innit? Yeah. If it came out of his mouth, then I'm worried. I might have got the wrong people. You know what I mean? That's if it's things like this that's happening, guys. You know, I mean, I'm part of the defense league for Klopp, but this same players like that should stay like at age of 38, coming to 38, and we're not even like progressing at the same time. That's a worrying sign. That is an actual worrying sign. How can a manager that can see we've dropped out the top four now? Let's be honest, we're not going to get into the top four. Let's be honest here. We can't compete for the title obviously this season because of like he's negligent and, you know, not getting the right players to help these players that's in the team. So how can you, like, after you've seen all that during the season, you're telling the likes of Milner you have to stay? You know what I mean? Like, I'm shocked, man. Listen, it came out of his mouth, then I'm worried. I'm really worried. I might be having to go at the wrong people if it's things like that, guys. I mean, because all this time I thought,
they're both to blame. They're both to blame.
But I thought, listen, I thought it's more FSG than Klopp. But if he's telling players to sign new contracts and stay beyond their, you know, welcome, then that's a worrying sign, though, Baz. You know what I mean? And
they were talking about the Milner deal.
Are we here to compete for titles, or are we here to be, you know, a sentimental club that just makes people happy and, you know, players to stay beyond their welcome? Like, what are we here for? Like, we're Liverpool Football Club. I grew up on Liverpool winning titles. You know what I mean? And now we're back to that. Why aren't we progressing? Because of what he's saying? Like, players have to stay. No. Listen, if it's I'm worried now, man. I'm worried, Jamie. Now, if it's like that, it's a worrying sign, man.
There was a lot of strong reports, though, weren't there, with the Milner, where they said that even though Milner's come out and said that he may have wanted Milner to stay, like Klopp would have, there was a lot of reports, I think it was a week or so before, that Milner took the decision more towards playing time. So maybe Klopp, we don't know. Klopp may have wanted him to stay, but I'm not being funny. Milner's got common sense. He'll know that he's at 38 years of age. He's not going to play week in, week out. Obviously, we've been seeing it the last couple of years. He'll come on with 10 minutes to go, and you think to yourself, for God's sake, like, why is he coming on with 10, 15 minutes to go? We all do that as first
every
fans.
time, man.
Like the last couple of games, he's had a bit of an exception because we know he's leaving the football club. But I'm sure, like, as Jamie said earlier,
Luke,
it is worrying. And as Jamie said before, I'm guessing I'm with you, Fozzie. Like, I believe that Klopp is still the right man to take us forward. I'm hoping that we get the summer transfers done before any start of pre-season. You know,
You know what it is, Luke. You know what it is, guys. You know, in football, if you look at the managers, the great.
It's a South
Right.
Southampton. So again, respectfully, Klopp said he had different ideas, meaning Millie wanted to keep him as a coaching role. Now,
yeah.
you know, that may be what Klopp said, but Milner said he wanted to stay as a player. That's why he's going to Brighton to be a player. You know, this whole thing of Milner can be a coach next season and stuff like that. Then, no, Milner thinks he can still play. You know, so we don't look. I'm just going for what Milner said, not what Klopp said. Because
You know what, Jamie? The thing is, like, I'm 45 years old. Yeah, my mind is still fresh, but my body can't do it. And sometimes you got to have you got to have that decision. I'm getting in July. I'm getting an ACL repair. Yeah, it's my third one. You know what I mean? I just don't. I just think, you know what? I could still play. I can do a Johan Cruyff turn. You get me? And then my flipping, you know, my
Johan Cruyff turn and get another ACL.
Exactly. So I hear what he's saying, but the thing is, like, even like Naby Keita, that was strong at one stage as well, where he was going to get his deal renewed,
New contract,
and that's a worry, you know what I mean? Because we need to evolve.
Yeah, Keita just didn't accept the deal. It was offered.
Oh my God,
that was what it was. They offered Keita a new deal, and Keita turned it down. He wanted a little bit more. Big up gang deep with super chat. Jamie, I mentioned this on the channel before, but Liverpool is a club I love, but I don't like at the moment. We the structure from top to bottom is not built on sustained success, which is a massive issue for me. I get that. Look, if I show you this picture as well, guys, so I found this today doing my research. So this is from when the
this made me chuckle.
This is from when the Premier League began to this season. Liverpool were the fourth highest spenders ever in the Premier League.
What the hell do we spend it on?
No, but we used to throw money. We used to buy like £8.5 million, you know, Stan Collymore and players like that, and stuff like that. We did used to compete for the, you know what I mean, but we just were never in that position.
We've thrown serious money, like players like Andy Carroll, for example.
Fourth. How are we fourth?
And the reason, look, we're only just behind Man United. You're only just behind Man United, and
that's still a lot of money behind Man United. That's before million behind Man United.
What the hell did we buy?
Well, Man United. Do you remember before? I think I see a stat as well. I think Ferguson left in 2013, and since he's left, I think they've done like 1.5 billion.
They have.
And
I mean, Chelsea. I mean, that's probably another 2 transfer windows for Chelsea anyway. But you know, that's
yeah. I mean, Chelsea are top of this because of obviously since Thingy came in, he's just gone mad. But I bring that up because I always see online that it's FSG's fault that we've only ever won one Premier League title. That's all I ever see all the time. Now, I'm not sticking up for them, but they haven't been here since 1992. You know, Liverpool have spent a lot. Liverpool have spent a lot of money in the Premier League era, as that shows, the fourth most ever in the Premier League era. And we've only ever won one Premier League title. You know, we've had good managers, good teams in that time, but still couldn't get over the line. You know, we had a good team last season, went for a quadruple, 20 minutes away from winning the Premier League, couldn't get over the line. You know, sometimes there's just something in your way stopping you. At the moment, look, we've got this Man City team who are just the best footballing side in world football on the pitch right now. With the best manager in world football. Let's just get it straight. Pep is the best manager in world football right now, and they're playing at, you know, a level that Liverpool got close to, and we're the only team really since City have been at this level with Pep. Liverpool are only really the only team that could come close to Man City in any kind of way. You know, your Arsenal tried this season, but you know, failed at the end of the day and go and lose the league by 10 points if they lose their last game of the season. You know, and Arsenal can only finish, I think, on 84 points or 85 points. 84. And when Liverpool broke for COVID in March that year, we was already on 82 points. It's just
wow.
You know, and they try and compare us to that. It's just
embarrassing.
So what I'm trying to say is, yes, money and spending can sometimes bring you success, but sometimes look at Chelsea right now. Their club's a joke right now. I don't know what they're going to come back like next season. I think for a part of me, a lot of the players they bought are rubbish. I don't think a lot of the players they bought are really good. I think Enzo Fernandez is about it. I don't like the talent they got in. Everyone's talking about Nkunku comes in next season. Look, he might light it up. He might completely fail, right? No one knows. There's been a lot of players I know that Liverpool fans have been banging the drum about that we should buy and go and get, and then they go to other teams and they completely fail. So,
you know what, Jamie? Just on that one quickly, yeah, on the Chelsea thing, you see these players that they bought in, all right, potentially they could have been great. The problem is when you buy players, you buy them for your system. If you're a team that's got an established manager, and let's just face it, they always getting rid of their managers. You know what I mean? Now, if you buy your Enzos and your Modric's and your Nkunku's and stuff like that, yeah, it's like you've got a team, you want a certain way of playing, you got to buy that players. Now the thing is, all right, next year they're getting Pochettino. I don't know how he's going to want to play. Will it Nkunku be actually good for him? Will it Enzo be good for him? Will you want just forward attacking midfielders and not someone that plays deep like an Enzo, for example? He's not going to be great then. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of problems. I think with football clubs and spending, no one's saying, like, me personally, right? I don't want to be seeing my club spend 800, 600 million a transfer. All I want is just what we used to do back in the day. Just improve on what you've got. If you're good, bring one 30 million, 40 million pound player. That's your thing. You know what I mean? And then next year, if you've got 3 or 2 players and you know injured or they're having this thing, yeah, maybe you might have to invest a little bit more. But it's not costing you the arm and a leg. It's just literally just like replace what you need and maybe have one extra just in case. I don't know. No one has to go and spend money like Chelsea. And if we do it, if we just spend a little bit of money on what we need, that's it. 5 players this summer. Spend the 5 million. Spend the 5. Buy the 5 players, and next year you're not going to need that.
But the thing is, Baz, are we that ruthless? You know, we're not. You know what I mean?
No, but that's
we
down to the owners.
We wouldn't be where we are if we was that
market,
ruthless. You know what I mean? We need to like wake up to that, man. And,
that's down to both of them. That's why I said there. You know what? Coppish and Callum said literally they're in bed with each other, and you know the owners and the thing. And that, I totally agree. They're both as bad.
Who is not the ruthless one though?
That's what I want to know now.
I think it's the owners. The owners.
Yeah.
Because if Henderson had the new deal to sign tomorrow at his age, I don't think FSG let him sign it.
It's the owners. Definitely the owners. The owners are not ruthless enough, I think, personally. All right, they showed that with Milner. Not with Milner.
But the thing is, Baz, we'll talk about the manager now with Milner. It's like, you know, a
Yeah,
manager
but
that
the owners said no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A manager that had ambitions would have shipped him out a long time ago.
The owners of,
you know what I mean?
and even with the Milner one as well. If you look over the year, like the few years that we've had players let go on a free transfer, that's for me the American style of like contracts and stuff. You see it with a lot of other sports. You know, I think when Wijnaldum left on a free, Emre Can left on a free. Milner's gone on a free. They're happy to allow these players to leave on free transfers. So, like, you know, if Jurgen Klopp wanted him to stay, which I think he did, but then FSG have gone no, like we want him to go. To be honest, yeah, it's kind of a shot. It's kind of a shot to the system to hear that, you know, oh wow, like FSG have put their foot down, but they've done it over the last couple of years. They've allowed sort of key players just to go.
And you're right.
But have they allowed them to go though? They offered Wijnaldum a deal. He just didn't want that deal.
Yeah.
They offered Emre Can a deal. He just didn't want that deal. So it's like we got to look at it and think. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I guess from there, I don't know, man. I think
there's not a renegotiation process from the sounds of it.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I think they give good deals to people's. I look at the way FSG, and this is not me sticking up for them, right? But I look at the way they run, and they look at players, and when they get to a certain age, and how far they've gone, and they go, "Is your value that? Are you worth giving? Is Gini Wijnaldum worth giving 200 grand a week now?" And by the look of it, FSG have been sort of proved right that he ain't.
Yeah, they were.
And they let him go. Where Liverpool fans were going, "No, look what he's done for so many years. He was only on 75 grand a week." Well, why weren't he popping? Why weren't Wijnaldum making a fuss of it a few years back or get more of an extension on his contract? He was happy what he was on. Do us as fans go too emotional about all this stuff and go, right, let's give a 30-year-old now 200 grand a week? Well, what if he's not the player he was?
I don't think they would have given him that. I think based on what he was getting, if
He
it was
wanted Van Dijk money. He wanted Van Dijk money. He said.
It did.
well,
Like
again,
200,000
until you
a week.
see it, you know what I mean. You don't know, but I'll tell you one thing, Genie. I think, you know, he still does a job. He still does a job for Liverpool, and I think even if you put him on, like, listen, let's be real. There's certain things you can do, like meet certain criteria. You'll be on Van Dijk's wages and stuff like that. But you know what? 75,000 a week and that. And if you put him on, like, what, we'll double that, 140, yeah, for 3 years. It's still a good investment because in those 3 years that he's left, you know what I mean? We've had issues in our midfield, and he's been trialed and proven consistently. All right, fine. At Roma, he's picked up that injury and he's come back, you know, and stuff. But what we needed is players like him, and you know, they haven't got a lot of things wrong. A lot of players that have left Liverpool, yeah, for whatever reasons, haven't really, like, you know, done anything better. But I think, for example, Genie, it was on 75, man. It would 140 wouldn't have killed him, you know, us.
I don't think
he wanted that. Like, that was the problem.
I think what you were saying, Jamie, to be fair, I think was spot on. Where I know the reports come out and said he was pushing potentially 200 grand a week Van Dijk money. The problem Liverpool had and FSG had at that point was there was only, if I remember rightly, there was only 2 players that were on roughly that sort of wage, and it was Van Dijk and I think it might have been Salah. So if you're going to give Genie 200 grand a week, then you're going to have Mane knocking on the door, you're going to have Alisson knocking on the door, you're going to have Trent knocking on the door, Robertson knocking on the door. It would cause so many problems.
Yeah, but we're Liverpool. But the thing is, we're Liverpool, and each season and stuff, as we progress, we get more money. And I do appreciate it's a business. You don't just throw money out there and make it like madness. Yeah, but we're Liverpool. We keep forgetting. A lot of people don't realize that this club makes money. No, I was just literally saying that we're carrying on. All right, this is what I think. Sometimes we will never be like a Man City or Manchester United back in the day or something like that. It's because we always have that small club mentality thing when it comes to like things like finances. We're we're a big club. But when people talk about we're top 4 in terms of, like, you know, yeah, stats are stats. I appreciate that, but you know, the money that we make. You know what we do in our market.
The thing is, Baz, wouldn't if they don't go down that route with the money, wouldn't refreshing the squad help that situations? If you know what I mean, move them on like that. You know what I mean, open the thingy, like close the door and then open the door for a new person like that. Wouldn't that make it easy? So someone younger with the same skills and, you know, something similar to those players come in, and then, you know, at least you don't have to pay that much wages to them. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, but when they got,
we haven't replaced them when they left. If you look at Coutinho, we haven't replaced. I
hear that, bro. You see Wijnaldum, right? The next person that came in for Wijnaldum was who? Was Thiago.
They played the season together, so I don't think. Well, they were still negotiating his contract, in it. So I don't think he was meant to leave.
The fact is, all right, he's on more money. Thiago's on more money. Yes, he's a super player. Yeah. But you know what? He's had his injuries even before Liverpool.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Agree. Yeah.
And the thing is, on a lot more money.
I also think
I don't think he was his replacement. I don't think he was.
I don't think Thiago was a replacement, but
because they played the season together and they were negotiating at the same time, didn't it, Luke? So
yeah, and I also think Liverpool could afford to give that higher wage to Thiago because of the stature of the player, but also we're only paying $5 million a season in transfer fees for the player. So in terms, like, it was, well, it still adds up. Of course it does. I agree with you, but I think I still go with that. Like, you've got a couple of players that are on that amount of money, and I know Wijnaldum come out on social media and said, like, oh, the fans didn't help on social media, like they've got the negative press, and it was like, no, like it was always going to be a problem if he was going to get that amount of money. Like, you were going to get. That's just the way we're run, unfortunately. And I agree with you. So we are Liverpool Football Club. We shouldn't be operating like that.
Based on merit. That's the thing. If you deserve that money, you definitely will get it. And then there will be questions like, well, hold up a second. You know, Mane's not getting 200,000 a week, but Genie is, and he's playing better. You know, there's grounds for that. But at that moment in time, these players were brilliant for us, so they deserve their money.
Yeah, I think with the Genie thing, he should have just got his pay rise a year or two before his contract came up.
Then the contract issue wouldn't happen. Yeah.
But Genie weren't knocking on the door for a new contract.
No. So that's the thing. We don't know.
But we're not. I always think we're just not like. Obviously, we keep talking about like Man City and all these kind of teams like Chelsea and that. They spend crazy amounts of money. They can go out spend 50 million. It doesn't work out. Blah blah blah.
I don't think City do. I don't think City.
No. Like that's what and I was just about to get to that. Like people say it, but I'm like, you got to realize, like, they get their full money's worth with most of their players that they do. Like, it's a very small, minute number of players that you would say, oh yeah, he flopped. Like, even, and I don't want to get into it, but like Mendy, for everything that he's obviously gone through that whole situation, they got their money's worth though prior to that. Like, they were able to get their money's worth. Yeah, it's like when you're looking at like certain things and stuff like that. Like, they talk about Calvin Phillips. Now, he's only been there for one season, so Lord knows how his next season is going to be. They might get their Jack Grealish. He's one of the most instrumental players that they're on course for probably their best ever season. If they win the treble this year, I promise you that 100 million will look like 20 million.
Do you know how funny? Just away from a financial point of view, do you know how funny it is that obviously I don't want Man City to win the treble? Of course not, because we're going to hear the end of it. But you know how funny it is that
the end of it from who?
Man United fans. Man United fans. For the only thing that's actually cheered me up this year. Man United fans so desperately wanted them to win the league because Arsenal didn't want to, they didn't want Arsenal to win. Now they can win the treble, and I think they'll win the treble. It's like literally, I've never seen so much meltdown. Like, for these next couple of weeks, they're literally shitting themselves. I'm like, right, we're gonna get top 4, but if we lose FA Cup final, like that 99 treble is nothing. Like, they got away with it last year, like when we didn't win the quad. But
the treble that Man United made up. You know, apparently it's only a treble if you win the FA Cup.
We won the first treble, by the way.
Oh, we won the first treble.
Liverpool won the League Cup, European Cup, and Premier League. But apparently, this treble thing, as far as I'm concerned, if I go to a pub and ask for a treble jack, I'm getting free shots.
Jamie, I never understand it. I never understand it. You know, like, how many years ago is that?
No, just made it up.
Yeah, but how many years ago is that? So look how long that is. You know, Liverpool didn't win the league for 8 years, and they said Liverpool's a history club back in the day. So I mean, what is that history then? You know what I mean? But you're still talking about it. You go to other streams, they talk about it, the treble and all this stuff. Like, when is that history then? You know what I mean? Like, Liverpool become a history club.
The thing I always look at with, like, as well as, like, that in itself is funny, to be honest, because I didn't even know that. We were the first team to actually do that, so I'm going to use that one day. But when I look at, like, Man City again, what world, like, they're not signing like they're not doing what PSG are doing, which is then if they were doing if they were doing that, then you could turn around and be like, oh, this is cheating, it's unfair, blah blah blah, and all these kind of things. But they're not even doing that. Like, they're signing players that were easily attainable for Liverpool at the time of when they were. We got Fabinho, they were getting in Bernardo Silva's. I'm not saying that Fabinho hasn't worked out in a sense, because he was a really, really good player up until this season. But do you get what I mean? Like, they've got a whole the sporting director that they got in. They specifically got him in because they knew their next manager. They already knew who they wanted it to be, and they had a plan in place. We're doing everything just so, like, the here and now, and then we wonder why we're not a club that are going to have sustained success, because everything we're doing is just geared towards, okay, well, Klopp's here now. Let's try and see if we can sort him out now. We saw the relationship between him and Edwards. It worked in the grand scheme of things, but it was a lot of friction, and obviously he's now gone. Julian Ward, he's seen it. I'm not really with it, kind of thing. And it's like, there's no plan. And I'm looking at it, and people keep saying, even Mac Allister, let's say we do sign him, even though I'm hearing that Man City want to sign him now.
They denied it now.
Fabrizio.
Cool. So let's just say we do sign someone like him. For me, it's not even about the fee. I don't care if he was 180 million. Like, it wouldn't even bother me. It's all about, okay, is this player going to suit whatever it is that Jurgen Klopp wants to do? Just get in a player who's going to do what you want him to do. So if he's going to cost you Jude Bellingham money, that doesn't really bother me. Like, it's not my money, so I really don't care. But in terms of the club, if I look at it from their side of things, I'm looking at it thinking, at least with Man City, they're not getting in just players who people say, oh, they're spending 50 million here. They're getting in players who are going to do a job. Like Akanji, Chicken Chain, Ake. Ake was expensive if you think about it. But look at what he does for the team. Laporte before he kept getting injuries. Look what Ruben Diaz. Like, they're getting in players that just fit what they want to do. So the fee now becomes irrelevant. Spend your 120 million, 200 million. It doesn't really make no difference. But we're signing Darwin Núñez, comes in as a striker, spends half the season left wing. You sign Gakpo, comes in as a left winger, spends the half season playing up front. You know, and I'm like, I don't really get what you're trying to do. Like, this doesn't even make any sense, and you're just trying to merge it all together. And I'm just like, bro, this is why we get angry when you're spending 64 million on Darwin Núñez, because I'm like, I didn't even need to see that then. You should have just gone and just bought yourself a left winger if that's what you were really.
It's all right. You know what it is, G? It's all right if you buy a player like Darwin when you're actually winning things. You know what I mean? That will work. But when your team is struggling and the way we are,
no, but we weren't struggling. We just come off a bloody quad fight. We weren't even struggling. That should have been the position.
We was transitioning, innit? We was transitioning at the time anyway. So if we got rid of Mane,
okay, Fuzzy. Okay. Just on that point, before we even kicked a ball, would you have thought that Liverpool were going into a transition season? Would you have genuinely, before we even kicked a ball at the beginning of the season? And this is what I'm saying, is that the revisionism has got us thinking that we're in transition. How can you have gone? How can you be a team who are supposed to be obviously of this level? How do you go from being a team who everything looked fine, you lost one player in the first team, which is Sadio Mane, and all of a sudden we're going through transition? I can't even comprehend how dumb that. I'm not you specifically. I'm just talking about the situation. How dumb that even looks and sounds. Like, you've still got the same people who are here. You decided not to freshen it up because you think it's this, that, and the third.
That's problem.
Again, your prerogative. If that's what you want to do, I don't get now. All of a sudden, maybe through the season, we're going for a bit of a transition. We need to just sort out this. Now the players are all of a sudden old. You knew they were old. Everyone knows that they get a year older. Like, do you not know that people get a year older? So you know that this is going to be something that you might just need to come into thinking. But the thing obviously, it's not even just that; it's the style of play as well. Because I look at Gundogan. Gundogan's going to be 33. I will take him today because he looks like a player that's better than anybody who's 25. But that's not because Gundogan is super fit or anything like that. I could probably still think that James Milner probably still fitter than him. But guess what? In the system he plays, it's not taxing. So he's okay to play in that kind of system. And that is why I keep getting onto Klopp. That's why it always seems like I hate him, because it's like, bro, it's because of you that it's never ever, and throughout your time until you leave, Klopp will never have sustained success here because of the way that he wants to play. He will have moments though. He'll have a season where it's like, yo, Liverpool are choo, but then it goes from choo. You can't go from finishing second by 1 point to fifth. Come on, like that is a disgusting drop off to have. I don't really see that.
But don't you think it's where the clubs are at though, G? Don't you think it's where the clubs are at? You know what I mean? The difference is between. So go on, Jamie. Go on.
No, let me just get this super chat set gang and I'm not worried about this window. I'm more concerned with the windows that come. We will strengthen in position of power if we get and we're there stagnant.
Yeah, agree.
Without going Look, what I'm going to say and everything before we get back is that this is where the whole thing comes from. So, are Liverpool a big club anymore, or are Liverpool a famous club? I think that's where we got to look at it now, because big clubs. Look, are PSG a bigger or more famous club than Liverpool? No, but they can afford. They can get players like Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe, and Liverpool can't. So, what are Liverpool a big club in the scale of what football is now, or are they just a famous club? I think that's what we literally got to look at, like, seriously.
There still are on a possibility of actually becoming that, that was been. Because the thing is, we still got credit in the, see that credit in the bank thing, we won a Premier League not too long ago, in terms of like the 30 years or whatever, If we invested and we just keep ourselves, we still are a big club because we've won the trophies. We still have the pulling power. You know what I mean? In terms of like maybe where it is geographically, obviously a lot of players that, like, for example, if you want one of these exotic players, they want to come into a place where it's like the weather's a bit better and stuff like that. Up north ain't great. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, because I live up north, I'm from London. But what I'm saying is, like, the club still has its pulling powers. But when you look at how much money is coming in, and if all it takes, for example, that Chelsea, who have spent all that money, they take one brilliant manager, and they've got the finances, they're staying up there because they're investing in everything. Man City are doing that. Newcastle are doing that. That's 3 teams. Manchester United, they get brought over and they have the right attitude. That completes a 4.
That's
And
what I was
Liverpool-
about to get to, mate. That's what I was about to get to when
Yeah.
G was speaking. Like me and Jamie have obviously done streams together before. Like we said it, like we just have to accept it as a transition season. That's what we said. Like as we was
Yeah, but
going
we
on.
shouldn't be.
Because
My
but
point.
I understand where you guys are coming from. We shouldn't be. But if you look at these other teams, mate, like you just said it, they finance their team. Our owners don't finance this team like those other teams. That's why they are where they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but who's-
Newcastle were in the bottom half last season. January came, they got off that bottom half. New season came, they challenged
No,
for
they
top 4.
started off
That's
with
all
their
finance.
manager.
You know what I
As
mean?
soon as
It's all
As soon
finance.
as they got the manager, they have been financing the team. But you know what they've been doing? They've been doing it smartly. Newcastle got nothing but respect for. You know what I mean? They haven't just thrown money like they can. They brought in a
But
manager.
it did help. It did help.
Yeah,
It did
and they
help,
were
though.
potentially going to be relegated if they weren't careful. They got in a brilliant manager who's just done what he's done bit by bit. And
Correct me if I'm going to say, I think Newcastle. I don't think Eddie Howe can get them any more high. I think next year they're going to struggle.
I think they've overplayed themselves.
I think this year they've had a brilliant
I've got
season.
full
I think the World Cup has helped them out a lot. I think
one game a week.
don't get me wrong, they've got financial backing, of course they have.
Yeah.
But next
One game a
year,
week helps them out massively.
I heard so many Newcastle fans on social media saying about all Klopp does his moan, all Pep does his moan, all Arteta does. I guarantee you 100% when they're in the Champions League and they're playing 2-3 games a week, Eddie Howe is going to be moaning non-stop. I still don't. I still don't think that he's that next step for them. It wouldn't surprise me if.
I believe this is.
But the thing is, look. But the thing is, guys, don't you think like I said, finance helps. Like if you look at Pellegrini, what happened with Man City? He won the league. What happened at West Ham? Lost his job.
Where the other way around though, we've got, even though we don't, as I agree with you, we don't sort of use our finances in that regard. We've got the manager that attracts a club.
That's it.
Like,
that's the difference.
I'm not being funny.
But he doesn't want to spend. That's the thing. We don't know for sure if it's FSG or if it's them. They're both as bad as each other because he could potentially have all that.
But Baz, don't you remember before he came, like Angelotti was offered the job, and they told him how much he can spend, and he said no, thank you. You know what I mean? So it shows.
Yeah, but that was then. That was before all.
They don't change. Americans don't change, bro.
No. What I mean by that is before Klopp came in, they offered him that job. Yeah. But obviously, things have changed now. Like Arsenal, for example, they've had a brilliant season, but people are going to say no, they haven't because their priorities now have changed because they've been up there. They're supposed to win the league title. But yeah, when you deep it and like have a review, the beginning of a season, no one expected that. Now with Liverpool, it's the same thing. That if you don't have a manager that doesn't put pressure on them, and doesn't have the ambition like
guys, we spoke about this before, bro. Like he signed this contract knowing this what he's got at Liverpool Football
Club. Then he's not good enough.
No other manager would have taken it, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the only one that said I can do it. That's the difference.
But this is what I'm saying. The two of them.
But don't you think he overachieved what he's got? If that's the financial power they're using, don't you think?
Not really. I don't think so. I think he could have done a lot more.
I think Newcastle.
Sorry, Jamie.
Massive. I think Newcastle this season are massively overachieved because you look at their squad. It's not a top 4 squad. No. They've taken advantage of how poor Liverpool and Chelsea have been. It's just as simple as that. And they've overachieved to where they want to be. Go on, Luke.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got to shoot off. So thanks for letting me come. I think the season, just quickly, I think the season sort of went downhill. I mean, I just look at that book in the background, Jamie. That intensity one. I just look at that. I mean, they're the sort of books that you bring out like after you've been successful. Not during.
Not like when you're still in the job.
Did it come out like 2 days after the Fulham game or something like that? And it was like, well, where was that?
It did bring it out after last season, but it just got published a bit later, didn't it? Big out to you.
Big up, Luke.
Thanks for letting me come on, guys. And obviously,
man.
Big up, Luke.
See you soon.
See you soon, man. See you soon. Now, what I was going to say about all that is like with Man City and what G was saying earlier about Manchester City and that. It's you look at Akanji and players like that. They're £15 million, and he's a very good player. Like he's a good player at doing what he does. Yeah, and he's people might not like this, because it's Pep Guardiola and people might come for me, but he buys system players.
Yeah,
for his system, and
there's
nothing wrong with it. I hate it when people go, "Oh, Mo Salah's a system player," and
so what's the point? What's your point?
The problem?
He's the manager, so that's his system,
and it works. And the man's great, and it works. So what's the problem? All City players are I look at Pep Guardiola and I look at Jurgen Klopp. For me, they
Mm.
probably got the two most difficult systems when they work in the Premier League. And Klopp's when they're at their best and Pep's when they're at their best are probably better than everyone else in the league. The problem is you've got to make sure you get the right players to fit systems. And G said this earlier, and I've been saying this a little bit towards the end of this season about Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez was a weird one because he completely went. It was a transfer that when he brought in, we needed a killer up front, but we never had a killer up front with Jurgen as a number 9 because we did have number 9s when Jurgen came in. He got rid of them because they didn't.
Benteke and Balotelli in there.
And then he put for Bobby in that number 9 role, and he was great at it because the role he played weren't an out-and-out 9. He was a false 9 that dropped deeper. He was tremendous at it. And Salah bad goals, Mane bad goals, and everything was great. So, and he's never really gone away from that. And then buying Darwin sort of didn't make sense. And then when we got him, it's like, yeah, okay, he's a killer now. We're going to use him as a killer. And Klopp was like, no, I don't really see him as a 9 at the moment, as a left winger, because
he doesn't work hard enough, apparently.
He doesn't know how to defend from the front. Yeah. And then you're like, well, why are we buying a player who don't suit your system then? That don't make no sense. And it was the same year. We bought him in the year of transition where Edwards left. Julian Wall came in.
Mm-hmm.
And we got players in that didn't sort of suit our system. And, you know, Cody Gakpo. I watch Cody Gakpo all the time. And when I watch him play, I'm like, look, he suits Jurgen Klopp's system. People might not like him as a footballer, but he's come in like that and hit the ground pretty well since January because he suits Jurgen Klopp's system. He knows the way Jurgen wants to play. You know, he speaks English fluently. I don't know how much this language barrier's got to do with it, by the way, because I don't remember Luis Diaz being fluent in English when he came last January. But, you know, Gakpo's just hit the ground running new. Luis Diaz suited our system perfectly. Got to the ground running, just got into Klopp's system. Jordan Henderson, he's not going to leave Liverpool because he suits Jurgen Klopp's system in midfield. The reason we're after players like Mac Allister, because they'll probably suit Klopp's system because you know the way he plays at Brighton in that high press. You know, he works hard. He can get back. He can track back and defend. He can play a good ball. He's got quality behind him. So it suits what Klopp wants to play. So I can understand why.
Jordan can't do that no more. That's the thing. And you know what? Just quickly touching on that thing. You know, GTV makes a lot of his shorts. Yeah, now people should go and check him out as well. But you know, some of the players that you come out, you know, the ones to watch and stuff like that. These younger players, bro. Some of these players are not costing 100 million. Some of these players are costing, you know, 30, 40 FSG kind of money that can play the system.
Some even less than that. Even
less than that. Exactly. Exactly. And that's this. Yeah. Go on, bro.
No, I was just going to say that I was just in the background listening to you guys obviously talking about the whole big club and all of that stuff. Just quickly on that. One thing I've always thought about Liverpool is that we're deep-rooted. We're a club who are very deep-rooted in tradition. Yeah. So we're quite a traditional club. The problem that you have with traditions is that as time and society moves on, you kind of need to keep up with society and what's kind of going on. So because we have a way of doing things, Liverpool, you know, City, you know, it's the people that live in Liverpool, like it's everything's quite traditional over there. So we never really moved. Look at the 80s. We were, you know, successful because of the tradition and everything that we were doing at that time, blah, 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 good team, all of that. Got to the 90s. Once money started coming in, it's almost like, not saying that we didn't want it, but we got, it's like, we a little bit did get lost because it's like, we never really wanted to move with the times because we felt that the way that we're doing
we was the last football team to even be online. You know what I mean? Like,
do you get what I'm trying to say? Like these kind of things, if we're going to keep being behind, like how does anyone expect us to be in a position where we can compete? Forget that Manchester City have these owners where, even if we've got new owners, unless the new owners are going to come in and, you know, move with the times, you're going to just more or less have the same kind of things continuously just keep happening. And then when you've got a manager, unfortunately, who fits that, as Jamie said earlier on, like with someone saying that they're almost in bed together, when you've got a manager that fits that tradition of Liverpool, you know, being a small kind of city, you know, the fans, all of these kind of things, when you're doing all of that stuff and you're not really open to really expand that, we're going to be in this kind of mess where it's you'll have your periods randomly, like this season you'll be good, that season you might be good, but then the other seasons it's kind of mediocre or poor, like this season. We're going to be in this kind of mess. And as
You know what it is, G? We forgot our
As-
place, bro. We forgot our place. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's like I don't get how you could just forget where you
like,
are as a club.
you know, like Liverpool Football Club from what 60s, 70s, and 80s. They had a plan, if you know what I mean. One door closes, another one opens. You know what I mean? Things like that. The youth system, you know, like being similar to the first team. We don't do that anymore, man. Like if you look at our youth players nowadays, they're all Curtis Jones and, you know, players like that you hope they do something, not like you're going to be expecting them to do something in the future. You know what I mean? So I understand where you're coming from, what you're saying. You're 100% correct. We're just traditional and we're not moving away from that. Even when people talk about these Arab owners, you hear a lot of people saying, nah, we don't want this kind of owners in our club. You know what I mean? And all that stuff. Why? Every other club is having those kind of owners. They're spending on the city. They're spending on the team. Why not? Why don't we do the same thing?
By the way, it doesn't
Why do we
even
have to be nice? Nice guys finish last. Nice guys finish last. That's how it is.
Nah, and look, I don't care. Listen, I don't care where the owners come from. They can come from flipping the back of Africa for all I care. But my thing is that, like, I'm just looking at it and I'm just like, we're stuck in these kind of, and we keep being looked at like this. And when you've got owners like this who fit that kind of mold and all these kind of like different things, man, it's like it's built into the tradition of the club. So Baz is then saying there, when you're talking about players and, you know, why we're not going, like, you know, certain players that I might look at, we're not really looking at those kind of players. It's because it's just deep rooted in the club, and that is just our tradition, that we're never going to look at, I hate using this word, but like your fancier players or anything, or just even just different type of players, because they don't really fit. Jurgen Klopp speaks about personality. I need to speak to the guy's dad, and I need to speak to his auntie back in Colombia to find out if he was a good kid. And I'm like, all right, that's all fine, and I get that, and I like it to a certain degree, but there needs to be a little bit of nuance to what we're kind of doing. There needs to be a bit of wiggle room in what we do to be able to try something different, which may allow us to just become a little bit more successful and less emotional when we're talking about football. Because unfortunately, in today's game, if you got all this emotion, it's only going to take you so far.
But
at the end of the day, Man City are not an emotional club. Chelsea were never an emotional club. Man United weren't an emotional club. Like, these clubs moved on with time. Over time. Like, it's just, yeah, man.
It's like what you said, bro. It's like what you said. It's just tradition, and it's hard to step away from things like that, especially when people from Liverpool are like that as well. So, what do we do? Do we just accept it as the way it is, or do we try and move with the times?
You got to move on. Everyone needs to move on.
Absolutely.
Right. Let's go to this summer. So I think Chris Bascom put out on Twitter yesterday, and some other people put out, and they expect Liverpool to sign 4 players in the summer, 3 midfielders and a centre back. Now, obviously, Twitter took this news extremely well. I don't look.
So Trent's going back in right back then.
I don't think it'd take a lot for Liverpool to get back up there next season. I really don't. I really don't. But we've got to buy the right. Like this summer, we've got to make sure we get the players that fit what Jurgen wants to do from the off. There's no bedding in period. Now we're talking about a transitional season this year. For me, if we don't do it properly, the transitional season comes next season. So we need to get players and bed them in quick. Now, apparently, people like Ugarte and all that, Liverpool are saying no to that transfer now, and they're talking about it's because they won't pay the £52 million, up front because it's a thingy. I don't think that's the issue. I think Liverpool are looking at Premier League players because they want to hit the ground running quickly. They don't want players to come in and bed in and take their time. Look, when Fabinho came, he played 1 or 2 games and was dog. And like Klopp put him out of the team, and we didn't see him for a few months. He came back in and he was excellent. But we ain't got time for that next season. We need to hit the ground running. These transfers should have been done last season.
Yep.
We all know why it didn't. So we're not going to talk about that now. But we all know why. So it has to be done this season. And now, look at Mac Allister. I'm hoping he's the first one through the door because I think he's a tremendous little player. We need... I don't know how many midfielders we need because let's go through it. We got Thiago's got 1 year left in his deal. Liverpool got a big choice to make there. right? You've got Hendo, who's going to be there till he dies. You got Stefan Bajcetic, Curtis Jones, Fabinho, right? That's 6 midfielders there, right? How many midfielders we legitimately go by? That's 6 there.
You're forgetting Jamie. You're
And
forgetting.
the players that are
Tyler
leaving as well.
Morton. Tyler Morton will
Getting
come back
Tyler
next season.
Morton. I keep telling
Tyler
you about
Morton
this
will
guy.
come
He's
back.
gonna come back. Ability.
So that's 7. Harvey Elliott's a midfielder / winger. That's 8. So if you buy 3 new midfielders, that's 11 midfielders. And as far as I know, no one's leaving out of that. I don't, unless Harvey Elliott goes on loan, because the new way we're playing now, the new system we're playing doesn't suit Harvey Elliott. Klopp has already said he wanted to bring this new season in next season, but he brought it in early to give us a bit of a lift because we were so bad and he wanted to finish the season off well. So he brought it in a little bit early, but he had all this already made for next season. He's gone on. Klopp said publicly that the form of Curtis Jones and stuff like that hasn't changed his mind on who he wants to buy, which is good.
That's what he says. That's what he said.
And if Curtis Jones is in this form, it doesn't mean don't go and buy a player. It just means you've got a good squad player there.
Yes.
You know, if you have an injury, you've got a player you can come in and go, oh, Curtis Jones coming in. I've got no worries because I'm seeing the form he's actually given me now when he's given the chance. Perfectly fine. That's a good squad player to have. It helps your squad. I don't see no problem with that. I just don't know if Harvey Elliott's got room in his team. So he might be one going. Thiago, depending who we buy, Liverpool might actually have to look at it and go, you know what? We're not going to give you a new deal next year. Just let you go a year early. Because we've got to remember, you know, you've got to have a 25-man squad. You've got to have enough homegrown in your squad next season as well for European competitions and Premier League competitions. The rules change. The old bill's coming for someone.
Sorry.
So you got to make sure you got all that correct as well. So this summer's transfers, the Mason Mount stuff. I'm hearing Mason Mount could be going to Arsenal now, and that's called off a lot lately. So I think that might have just been agent talk. It's the only one I think we're seriously look. Apparently, I think it's Paul Joyce said today that Liverpool have already got all their targets lined up. They're already lined up and ready to go. Just doing the paperwork now. So 4 in, 3 midfielders and defender. Baz, who's your 3 midfielders and defender you think Liverpool go get?
That I think that we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Mac Allister.
Yeah.
And I like him, don't get me wrong, yeah. Bro, Gravenberch, if they can get him, he seems that mold. I don't even know. That's the thing. I can't even answer it. What I would want to come in is a different thing. It's just based on, you know, what you said, that, you know, hitting the ground running and stuff like that. Maybe even a Lavia. I don't know, because he's like realistic, you know, Southampton relegated and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They could get him in, who I think is a decent player. So he can be that potential, I don't know, deep midfielder. Have the Mac Allister as the 8, 10-ish kind of thing, whatever's going on there. I couldn't tell you the next one, the third one. I just don't know. I really don't know. No, I could name you like the Ugates of this world. I can name you the Gravenberches and stuff like that. I can name you a whole bunch of players I'd like to see and that are realistic, but I just don't know. I really don't know.
Why we're not? And do you know why we're not going after Ugarte?
Why?
It's too much money.
You got Fabinho and Henderson there, who could both play the
no.
You got
Fabinho and Henderson and Tyler Morton.
And you got Stefan Bajcetic, you got Tyler Morton. They all can play the 6, and this is what I keep saying. I love players like Henderson. They've done us well, but the longer you keep him around in the squad, he's a squad member. He's played 49 games this season. Does everyone actually think he's going to go and play no games next season? The man's an integral part of what Klopp does in this midfield. He's going to have a lot of time on the pitch next season if he's injury free.
Do you know what, Jamie? Though I hear you, and I completely agree. But the thing is, all right, can this guy? When we think about Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, what he likes doing, yeah, can he press? Can he last the game? He can't even do these things no more.
Fabinho
it's not,
can't
man.
either.
No, I hear you, and I completely agree.
Well about Fabinho. Yesterday against Villa, on Saturday against Villa, I've been saying about everyone keeps going, oh, Fabinho's a bit better. Fabinho's a bit better. I went, yeah, because all the teams we played against recently play in front of us. None of them press our midfield.
Yeah.
Apart from Aston Villa, who pressed our midfield on Saturday, and Fabinho looked dog shit. And
Basic is like that. He's a brilliant player, yeah. Potentially, he's going to be brilliant, yeah. But bro, the guy still has to develop. They can't have him next year, like, you know, playing like 30, 40 games. They're going to destroy this poor guy, and I worry about that.
It's a lot of work ahead, isn't it? It's a lot of work ahead.
With Lavia coming in, I don't know. I know we've got an age problem, but then going the opposite way is a bit drastic, ain't it? Getting Lavia, Elliott, Curtis Jones for your midfield, when that is, you can't go from like 30 to like 10-year-olds. You know what I mean? There's got to be
that. Keep your hand on Thiago. That's why I mentioned these guys. You know,
it is a good option. Fosse, who do you recommend?
Oh man, obviously Mac Allister's coming in. Gravenberch has been talked about for a while. They say he's similar to Wijnaldum, but progressing the ball or something along those lines. And
he's very similar to Bellingham.
Yeah,
he's very Ajax. A lot of people had him ahead of Bellingham as a player.
And from what I've heard from the Brighton manager, he's leaving, and what's his name? Caicedo's leaving, but I don't know where Caicedo's going to go. If he's the one, they get these two players, you know what? I'll clap them off. You know what I mean? I'll say that's the best transfer if they get those two, but I can't see it happen. I think Agate is more promising than Caicedo, so they might go for him. So I think those three players could be Gravenberch, Agate, and Mac Allister. I think those are the ones.
Who do you reckon the defender is? Because apparently it's definitely looking at centre back.
That's a tough one.
Timber's the one they're talking about because he's versatile.
I think they said that in Holland, didn't they? The Timber is going to go to Liverpool.
For houses, isn't it?
Yeah. They said someone from Ajax said that apparently. So that's a good signing. Is he just a centre back? What else does he play? I don't know much.
Play right back in DMs, aren't he?
That's all right then. That's the kind of player we need.
Well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't mind Timber if he's coming in as a right back, as over a centre back. I'd have him at right back.
Are you resigned for Trent playing there then? This
is. But then the thing is, he is a centre back though. That's Timber plays 95% of his games as a right side centre back. So
we know what happens when you come to Liverpool. You change position.
And this is why I'm like, bro. It's like I don't really. Gravenberch is one of them players. It's like Gravenberch, Lavia. I agree with Jamie. Like you're gonna go for having one of the older squads to just young, just really really young players. You're gonna just be another Arsenal who were fighting 2-3 years ago trying to get that champion. That's not.
What the thing is, G, isn't it to do with the players fitting the system though, G? Isn't it to do with something like that? That's how we bought these previous players anyway.
Do these players fit the system though? This is the question. Like, or do we just like what they do for Southampton, who are shit, for Ajax, obviously, who are a level below Liverpool? Like, he looks good, but then I'm just like, I like both players. I like Lavia, I like Mac Allister, I like them, but I don't like them for Liverpool. But I don't feel like
the way you're going about it up there, that's how we was going about Wijnaldum's, all these other Fabinho's when we first.
No, but you could see that at least some of these players like
why? I mean, we could get something.
No, but again, context, because this is why I always think you got to think about context. Where we were at the times when we're signing some of these players, we could only get Wijnaldum. We weren't good enough to try and go over Wijnaldum. We had to look at the teams getting relegated because we were in that position where we were just about getting top four, just starting to try and get top four. Klopp just coming in. Wijnaldum, he was an international player. He just unlucky that he played for Newcastle at the time, but he was an international good player, played in different position even when he was there, and we moved him. So I'm like, okay, that kind of made sense. And then from there, you could see that's why I liked Liverpool before. Someone put up, I think, a super chat mentioning Liverpool now in terms of not like I don't like Liverpool. I was like, I don't like Liverpool at the moment because there's just no structure. Before it was you get Fabinho, Keita, we know how to end it, but he was a good player in your mind of what you thought we kind of needed in the team at that moment in time. All of these players fitted a kind of role. Klopp's problem was he never really wanted to push the boat out, and he liked working with such a small squad. It was like, let me just get one. Let me just keep getting one. Just one guy and then he comes in just for the guy that's going out of the team. Once that happens, I'm okay. He wasn't then thinking about, and like for example, no one's talking about a replacement for Trent. Trent cannot play every game next season. Like that's just not going to work. We're not looking at replacements for Salah.
Walker-Peters. This is the guy again on a free. And you know the Gravendal. Gravendal is who I think we should be looking at. I know he's going to cost a lot of money, but you know what? He's Van Dijk's replacement because we need to look at that. And when I mean replacement, I don't mean replacement like that. I mean, you know what? He needs to get in. He needs to play with Van Dijk. He needs to, kind of like get this thing because when Van Dijk does retire or he's not, he doesn't
Someone's
have
already in place, yeah.
Exactly, and it's costing you cheaper now than he will later on if you're trying to buy him at 25 years old.
Do you think? I was thinking about this the other day. Because right centre back for me, I don't want to see Konate play there ever again. I think he's shit in that business. But do you think that Konate should actually be the Van Dijk replacement? Get Vardio if you want to get like any left centre back. Let's just say you get Vardio, Konate, and an actual right centre back instead of because Konate can't play right centre back. It's been proven. We've tried this experiment. It's not going to get any better than what it is at the moment. He's too limited in what he can do in that position. If you go out and actually sign a good right centre back, why can't Konate just sit in the middle where that is where his strength lies? Doesn't like going out wide. Guess what? You can boss the middle because you're a good player.
I like
it, but this is what I'm saying. It's like I like Konate because he is a good defender. But if you try to get him out wide, he's like them old school defenders, like the Rios and the Terrys. Them man couldn't defend out wide. Don't let them fool you and think that those guys could play right centre back. No, Rios play right centre back. It's not gonna happen.
Jimmy, Enz, and Jamie discussed that before about Konate becoming the replacement for Van Dijk. I said, no, mate. He hasn't got the intelligence. You need an intelligent person that's calm with the ball, that can pass the ball next to him, and understand.
But then right centre back is the worst position for him then, because he can't really do that.
You push him out, you could push him out, and you could put someone there. I mean, in the right side. It doesn't.
No, but but so then this is what I'm saying is like we're saying that you need someone I don't really feel like you do. I feel like you're like. It's one of those kind of things, or one of those kind of positions where if you're playing in the middle of a back three, you don't need to be the most intelligent one. You just need to be the one that's probably the best at defending. Because the two wide guys are probably not going to be as good at defending as the guy in the middle, because he's more the last line that we need. Or he's the one that, if Konate, as he loves to do, he loves to push straight away. He wants to get in these challenges, aggressive. Let him do that. But then you've still got your two defenders obviously behind.
Are you playing like three at the back? You're saying? I'm not.
Okay. Yeah. This four at the back. I don't want to see that again. Yeah,
I don't want to see three. To be honest, and that's what I was thinking. Like, maybe that's what.
You thought I was talking about playing in right? No. As in, I don't want to see Liverpool ever go back to like playing four. Don't do that, because if you start doing that, it changes everything. Like if you go to a four at the back,
to be honest, G, I don't do three centre backs. I got to be real with you. The three centre backs is a big issue in my opinion. Like, we played this under Roy Evans back in the day. We was the best team playing it, but we was never winning anything with it. And there's only one team that actually won a title with three at the back, and that's Chelsea. It opens a lot of gaps. I know you want to play wing backs and all that stuff, but once those areas get doubled up on and the centre back has to be drawn out of place, it's going to be difficult, bro. Three centre backs, nah. We invented three at the back. Trust me, mate. John Scale, Phil Babb, Mark Wright. That's who actually played that.
Okay, cool. So to then caveat that, then if you play with four, we're equally as vulnerable. So I'm saying if you play
just
at least with
players.
Three,
get the right players.
No, but that's the point. But this is the point: is that even when we were very strong, we were still vulnerable, regardless of anything. With having the four there, I'm talking about from a position of. If he still wants, now this is obviously if he chooses. If he wants to still play Trent in this new position, for example. If he doesn't, then obviously it's a moot point. Then you just go back to your four at the back, and then you go from there. If he does want to still play with Thing, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I don't mind you doing that. Cool, let's change it up. Let's do something a bit different, because Liverpool cannot, in my opinion, you'll be taking 3 years back if you start going, let me just go back to 4-3-3. It's a system that doesn't work. It doesn't matter. You can get all the right players that you want. It's just not going to work. It's just not a system that now in today's football can work at this kind of level for what Klopp, and again, this is just for Klopp, just for what he wants to do.
He's
I
just
don't want to see it anymore.
what he needs to do is buy the right players, bro. Like the issues we have in that
But
three in the middle.
who are you going to buy
But
realistically?
what I'm trying to say
Yeah.
is, if you look at the three in the middle, bro, like the issues we're having is keeping the ball. We can't keep the ball. We can't shoot the ball. We can't pass the ball. So if you could get players that can do all that, maybe that three in the middle could be different. Or play double pivot and then play one as a number 10, and you could play like three up front, like you always do. You could do things like that. You know what I mean? But the issue that we're having with that three in the middle is that the players are too similar. They don't know how to shoot. They don't know how to pass. They just could do.
So
the running.
then, okay,
That's it.
so then, exactly what you just said. Just buy the right players.
That's it.
Just go out and get the players who could play in that system, and you'll be
I agree with
absolutely
you.
fine.
I agree.
And then, but again, it's all look. At the end of the day, it's just all obviously.
Well,
It just
ifs and
depends on
buts,
what
yeah.
Klopp
Yeah.
wants to kind of do and how he wants to kind of do it. So it is a catch-22. But for me, I'm just like, I don't want to. I feel like you'll be taking steps back if you go to 4-3-3. Because for example, he goes to 4-3-3. Why are you buying Mac Allister? Where does he fit into that 4-3-3 system?
Yeah.
I think
Like,
we're
what does he
basically. Look, guys, I think we're basically going to play what we're playing now. I think Trent will be
Yeah, I think he's going to just do that.
fullback, and he'll play most of the time in midfield alongside Fabinho. I think Thiago, if he's fit. I think this is our starting midfield next season.
You don't think we're
Thiago
gonna
never
buy
starts,
anything?
He's too injured with it.
Trent, Fabinho, Mac Allister, and Thiago, I think, would be our starting midfield.
We're just gonna buy one player. That's it.
No. I think that'd be our starting midfield. That'd be our starting midfield. With the defensive part of it, I think Liverpool are looking at a new defender to play maybe this three at the back to replace Robbo. Now,
Yeah, man.
people,
Robbo is pissing me
I
off.
think this has gone under the radar quite a lot this season. How bad Robbo actually's been.
And Dicker, man.
Isn't he going to Italy or something? In Dicker? I think that's.
If you're
Roma or
playing
something.
three at the back, if you're playing three at the back, if you're going to play three at the back, you're going to play Konate and Van Dijk. If you buy, maybe we're looking at Timber because Ajax have played three at the back before. He's played three at the back for the Dutch team. Maybe that's why we're looking at him. It would make sense. Suits that system. Most of the time next season, we're going to be playing three at the back. It might not start three at the back, but we're going to go to three at the back. And Thiago is not suited. Robbo is not suited to that three at the back system. So if you're buying someone like a Timber,
I tell you what, I'm not sure about Timber. I think he's all right, but again, buying the right player, I think there's too much mistakes in him.
yeah, I mean, I think this.
That's if we're even signing a Timber. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a report, but we might not. We don't have Liverpool work, man. We don't hear about these deals until the morning of the deal. Like all we know, we're signing Lionel Messi tomorrow. So it's like we actually don't know what could potentially even happen. We could actually be looking at a left-sided, or he's looking at a right-sided. Like I honestly, with Liverpool, you just never know. I think McAllister's probably the only one.
I honestly think Trent's gonna go back to the right back. I honestly think
he might too, bro.
I think he's just gonna do his 4-3-3 again and just get the right personnel.
Apparently, Klopp said that this is the system for next season. So
he says, yeah.
I've heard it before. Early. Look, but I just don't. I've said it. I don't think we can afford to go to 4-3-3 next season with Trent at right back. Look, Trent's vulnerabilities are still there defensively. You see when he slots into that right back position, still he doesn't know what to do defensively. And Trent never has done. He's a midfielder that's played right back that's just got so used to that role now. We all just assume he's a right back. And for some reason, the whole fan base is afraid of putting him in midfield, which I don't get because he does it there. He's a far better midfielder than he is a right back, in my opinion. We used him to his. Did you see? I think what Pep Guardiola said about it all. He said, "No one, when Liverpool were at their best, no one figured them out until they did figure them out, and then they stopped playing well." And now Trent's gone into that inverted role, and people are not figuring them out again, and they're playing well again. And it only takes a while for Trent then to get figured out in this new position. Like my worry about Trent playing his inverted role, and I think that's why we're looking at a defender, is because Konate cannot cover. Only because he's big and strong and quick, we think he can just go and cover the right back area. He hasn't got the injury record that makes me say that he can do that. and stay fit. And plus, he's big and strong and he's quick, but he doesn't actually like being in the wide areas. He doesn't like it. You get him in the middle areas, he's perfectly fine. And the other thing we've got to do is get rid of this high line, man, because Konate and Virgil cannot play it anymore.
No.
Stop. Virgil can't play the high line anymore, and Konate struggles with the high line. Don't have to go so high. You can just drop it back 5 yards. It can still be a line that's nice and up. It just don't have to be, where Konate and Van Dijk consistently have to keep running back to their own goal all the time, and putting themselves in danger. Let Virgil and Konate just defend because they're exceptional here. just let them defend. Just let them do what they're very good at doing, defend, and then get the right people in midfield to mop up. And that's what we need to be doing. But this is... So, if Trent goes that fullback role, then 4-3-3 with a Timber and I mean, if you're going 4-3-3, I don't know why we're buying a defender. I don't know why we're buying a defender because Matip ain't going and neither's going.
Nope, he ain't going either, yeah.
So why are we buying a defender?
I don't know, man.
Where in the squad have we got room for all these players? This is what I keep saying. Where have we got room for them all?
But the thing is, Jamie, you guys are saying, like, he said we're going to play this formation. But he said the same thing about that formation before the World Cup with the double pivot. And he changed it. He came back after the World Cup. We played 4-3-3 again. You know what I mean? So this guy will never leave that 4-3-3. I keep telling you guys that. As long as he's here, he's going to try to find the personnel that's going to play this system. That's what he's going to do. I'm not lying
The
to
thing
you
is,
guys.
Fozzie, I actually agree with you on that one. But
Some people are just stubborn, bro. They don't change, man.
Yeah.
They don't change, man.
If he goes back to 4-3-3, but...
He needs a slap if he goes back to the 4-3 because it just doesn't really make any sense why you would do that. Like, even in this new form, like in saying this new formation, with the 3 at the back, it's not even 3 at the back, it's 2 at the back. Konate and Van Dijk who just defend. And I'm like,
we do one-on-one defending, don't we?
Yeah, and this is, I'm like, guys, just get someone to drop. Like, even if it's Fabinho, make Fabinho's job be you must always come back and form a part of a 3 when we are defending. At the moment, what Fabinho will do, and again, that's just his job role that Klopp's asking him to do. It's not his fault. He's staying in that defensive, say, midfield position. He's not going to be coming back and dropping into a 3. We stay as a 2. Jamie's right. We end up just doing 1v1 defending. I'm like, I get it in terms of you're hoping that the abilities of a Van Dijk or Konate should be good enough to be able to withstand. But then all it takes is just for a smarter team. Someone just put in the comments about, I can't remember who it is. They just mentioned that Pep Guardiola, he tweaks the tactic. It might be the same thing that he's been doing. He just tweaks it a little bit. We're not even trying to tweak it. We've gone from 4-3-3 to changing the whole thing. And even when we're changing the whole thing, it's still essence of whatever we was trying to do before. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. And Fozzie's right, man. I just look at him and think, this guy's the type of guy, he's going to be so stubborn with it that it's just going to remain one of those tactics that you just need to pray that it just works. And if it works, then it just works.
I think he's, you know what, he's, when you compare the 2, all right, obviously those 2 are very, sorry.
Who's celebrating, man?
No, there's always arguments here. No, what it is, all right, I think if you give Jurgen Klopp, Jurgen Klopp is all about one thing and one thing only, all right? This so-called heavy metal hard workers in midfield. He doesn't have that now, okay? And he knows we've been coming for him in terms of like, you got to do this, you got to change this, you got to do that. He doesn't have the players. Once he gets his players, he definitely will go on to that 4-3-3. I agree 100% because that's Jurgen Klopp. He doesn't tweak like Pep. But what he's going to do probably as well is if he's going to get an extra defender in, okay, then what that means, all right, is he's going to have this formation with Trent inverted at some point as well, as a backup option. He needs to have a backup option because, like you said, if it doesn't, all right, and some of the comments that is true as well, because sometimes Klopp's tactics or the way he plays, people know how to play against it. You know what I mean? So he does have to have variation in it. So that's the only reason why I think he's getting a defender in there so he can effectively put Trent in the middle or then go back into, the 4-3-3, whatever suits him in it. He needs to have different variations because if you play one system, let's just say next season he plays the Trent system, right, with him going forward and stuff like that in midfield, then look at Aston Villa. Aston Villa kept thing quiet. kept
Trent,
Trent
yeah.
very quiet. And yes,
He
you
did.
can talk about the occasions and stuff like that. But you know what? Every year and every season, you're going to get new players what can offer things that you didn't even realize. Okay, and they use them and stuff like that. And then what happens? It becomes a problem, and it was a problem against Aston Villa because Trent couldn't do anything. So there definitely needs to be some kind of like variation in it, and that's the only way I can think why he's going to bring in an extra defender. Could even be a right back for all we know, not even a centre.
It would be great if it is a right back because then that would tell me that he's pushing Trent into midfield.
Yeah.
We'll see when he buys the defender. We'll know exactly what he's going to do.
I put a team there of Fabinho, Mac Allister, and Gravenberch because that wouldn't surprise me at all. The front three, we're not going to buy any forwards. I know that. I don't think we actually need to so much. But
nah, Jamie, we need a right winger, man. I'm tired of this Salah playing.
Harvey Elliott.
What? Gee, you had enough of Salah?
No, I'm not had enough of. No. Come on, Salah's my favorite player. I can never have enough of the guy. I'm just like,
he wants a deputy for him.
I need to be able to know that Mahrez is coming off the pitch, but it's okay because I've still got Bernardo Silva or Foden or Jack Grealish. You know what I mean? Like, I need that kind of rotation in place.
I agree.
But yeah, I love that.
I literally think Harvey Elliott is going to be the right wing.
Oh God.
I'll tell you what, even if they do put him on the right wing, I wouldn't even mind that. If he's his deputy and he's going to consistently play him and he can improve, because that's what this guy is about. He's not a flipping midfielder. He's not an attacking midfielder. He's a forward. He's a right, a left foot. He doesn't have the legs, but you know what? The problem is sometimes you might not have the legs, but if you've got the trickery and the right brain for it, yeah, you can do it. But yeah, you might lack in goals.
There's another player.
I don't know.
There's another player who might play at right wing. I'm going to get to him now because I'm not sure of him, and I'll get caught out for this. Luis Diaz. Now,
no. This is a good thing because I was going to suggest that.
Right, Luis Diaz, I think could play on the right hand side. I think Klopp's done it a few times actually when Luis Diaz has been fit, so that wouldn't shock me if he does. I'm not 100% sold on Luis Diaz yet.
Wow.
Might be. Yeah. See,
he's a modern day McManaman.
I think he's a tremendous player. Yeah, I think he's a very good player. He's good on the eye. Yeah, but when you become a Liverpool forwards under Klopp have been about goals and assists. They have to have end product because the system we play, the whole workhorse is meant to be the midfield. The fullbacks are meant to be creative. And then the odd midfield creator, and then the forwards are just about supplying goals and assists. That's what the forward line is meant to be about. And now, I'm not sure on Luis Diaz for that just yet. Now, it's hard to judge it because he came in last January, he had a few good months. Then started the season okay. He started the season actually pretty well, to be fair to him. He got a really bad injury. He's not really so since he's been bought, he hasn't actually played much. So I see spells of him when I watch him, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Luis Diaz is amazing. You know when he sort of like goes into his own world and decides to do his own thing, and you're like, Jesus, why didn't you do that from the first minute? You know, why instead of wait 10 minutes?
Well, goal down or something like that.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? That is my concern about Luis Diaz. I think he can get obviously better because he's got tremendous talent. There's no doubt about it, and the output will come. I'm just not sold on him just yet, but I don't mean I don't want him out or anything. I don't rate him. Mo Salah's Mo Salah. The man's going to get 30 goals every season. It doesn't really matter. Does what he does. What I will say about Mo, that his assist and overall gameplay, as he's got older, has massively improved. And I don't think we look at that enough. I mean, that assist the other day for Bobby outside.
What a pass, man, by the way.
It was ridiculous. You know, no one talks about it. You know, so that part of his game's massively improved. And then you got the Gakpo and Darwin Núñez situation.
And Diogo Jota. You forgetting about Jota?
Yeah, I forgot Jota. Jota. Jamie, I'm watching you.
I'd rather play Jota left wing instead of Diaz next season.
Oh my!
Oh no, Jamie, bro.
Jamie, please.
And the thing is, though, what Jamie's saying, though, I'm with Jamie anyway because I've never been sold on Luis Diaz, regardless. Like, I don't feel like I've looked at him once and really thought, oh yeah, this guy's really gonna do blah blah blah. Like I've just always
Yeah,
thought
but
he's a player who, if you let him do what he wants to do, he's a
Mm.
baller. He's a fucking baller. Like I have
Yeah.
to say that. Unfortunately, in a team that, as everything Jamie said, I agreed with. Like he's in a team where, unfortunately, what we require from you, you cannot do, or you don't seem to be able to do it. And it's not maybe because you can't even do it. It's just you don't really want to, because you're so good at doing what you're actually good at. Being the maverick, being that kind of guy, the guy who needs a bit of a free role to be able to do his business, obviously at the other end of the pitch. So when I'm watching him, I'm just like, yeah, unless we're going to start playing a completely different way, and this goes back to Klopp and the staff, if we don't change the way we're playing, what is the point of signing these guys? Like,
You know what, G?
Diaz, not really the one. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not.
You know
sold
what,
it,
G?
to be honest.
Look at that midfield that Jamie's put up there. Yeah. Now Gravenberch is there, and then you got Mac Allister. Yeah, these are fresh, and effectively, when I look at them as both as 2 8s. Yeah, 2 8s.
Yeah.
Now, when I look at people like let's just say I'll even bring Nunes in this. Yeah, Nunes and your Diaz. Yeah, they've come to clubs, all right, that have had issues. You know what I mean? Like when Diaz came in January last year or whatever it was, yeah, that was the starting of how we were playing poorly, you know, through lack of form or players being injured. And, you know, I mean, they've had to do a lot more working back. Like Diaz, you look at Diaz, he's like, you know, when we signed him, he's like, Mane used to go back and help. But you know what? He knew his midfielders could do what's up, you know what I mean, could do things. So he could focus more on his brilliance in terms of like going forward, creating and linking with the, you know, Salah, Firmino and himself, yeah? Diaz hasn't had that opportunity just yet. Now, I think when I look at this formation or I look at this midfield and I think, all right, fresher legs, yeah, he'll have to do less work. So then he can be that maverick playing forward and he has that ability to come back if he needs to. So, I mean, when I look at Diaz, I think he can potentially be a brilliant player on the left. And if you're going to bring a Nunes in, he can potentially play on the left, but I'd prefer to see him up front. But then that's what my views are with Diaz, yeah. And the thing up front now, yeah, I still say this and I remain, like, you know, I'm telling you, right, Jota is our most natural finisher besides Salah. Salah's not natural finisher. He creates and he does score goals and he misses an awful lot. But Jota, he has that striker thing to him. That's why I want to see him in the middle. He can play on the left. I'm pretty sure when we buy forwards, right, they are very fluid. So you can have him on the left as well. It is an option because when you look at Man City, when he played against Man City, he was brilliant. You know what I mean? Was it against Man City? Yeah. When
Salah on the left that game,
he played on the left and he was brilliant. He's worked hard and everything. So I'm definitely not saying that he's not good on the left. He can do the job, but I would rather see him challenge maybe depends on if he's going to play like Gakpo in the middle. If you're going to play Gakpo in the middle, he's going to have to do a little bit more. But I'd like to see Nunes and obviously Jota fighting for that number 9. And then if you're going to put Gakpo in there, then put Gakpo in there. But, you know, I think I'd like to see Diaz on that left because I think if we have a structured midfield, he wouldn't have to do a lot more, you know, make a lot more of those runs downwards. He can do his forward things better.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like with Diaz, I think like his career has just been stop and start. You know what I mean? If I want to see him when he has that consistency in his obviously in his game and he doesn't get injured a lot. You know what I mean? It's just the wrong time when he came. Sometimes like if you have a preseason behind you and then like you come on and then you continue, it'll be easier for him. But unfortunately, he had an injury, so it stopped him like developing to the player we wanted him to be. And not only that, like Jamie said, he was playing well before that injury. So I think we're just judging him too much. I think he will come good, and I agree with you, Baz. I think once he has that midfield back in, like the legs and you know the youth of the midfield, I think he will perform even better. But what he needs to stop doing a lot is coming in. I mean, do outside as well. Get some crosses in the box. Let the strikers
But
attack
you're
some
asking
crosses.
him to stop doing the one thing that he wants.
But he's only doing one thing. That's the thing. But he could improve and like doing more. That's what I'm trying to say. He can improve and concentrate on other stuff instead of like just defending, like Baz said. So he could go forward more and concentrate on that.
He does have to improve for sure.
Yeah. So would Jota, I prefer him to play as a striker like you, Baz. I agree with you 100%. He's both-footed. He's a clinical finisher, and that's why I prefer him to stay. But you talk about Gakpo and where he's gonna play. From what I've seen, he could play three positions now. He could play in midfield, he could play as a striker, and he could play in left. So it's good to have that variety in the team. You know, what I mean, you could swap, chop, and change players around the pitch, and that's what we're gonna have hopefully next season. And you know, in certain games, you could play certain players, so it suits them. If you know what I mean, instead of like having deep line defending teams, and then we have to open them up somehow and all this stuff. So yeah, it's good to have different options in the team now. And I agree with you, Baz. Jota is a bit as a striker than
As a
putting him in the
striker, as a finisher, all right, I mean, if I'm looking at it how Jamie's put it there, yeah, that's still a brilliant team. You know what I mean? It's still a brilliant team. Yes, I know Jota, a lot of people might say his link-up play is not great and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll be hearing all of that, absolutely. But then this is what I'm saying. This is where you can get the option of having your... You see someone like Gakpo at the moment, yeah? I like what he's doing, but there is definitely... Like, there's been a few times that I've watched him and I'm like, you know what? Take that straight away. Slam that shot, you know what I mean? He doesn't have that striker thing to him yet, but everything else is good. You know what I mean?
He plays like a midfielder. He plays like a midfielder.
Like a powerful runner from the middle, yeah.
He plays like a midfielder, and Klopp.
Yeah, he can play as an 8 as well. I prefer him not to play, but he can. Yeah, exactly. But he can play there as well because he's got the pace, he's got the power, he's got the strength. You know what I mean? He's got that nice turn.
But the thing is, Baz and the panel, don't you guys think it's good to have that options next season? Like your place is not guaranteed, so you got to perform at the highest level on a consistent basis. That's the best thing.
Yeah, you need it. You definitely need it. I mean, look at Mo. Mo's the only one who hasn't got a threat.
Yeah,
really. Like Trent and Mo, like no one's really taking Trent's spot. That's why Trent. We changed our system for Trent. Let's face it. You know, the system got changed for Trent because he was having such a bad time with it, and Klopp was finally like, he's got all these qualities going forward, but none of them defending. Maybe I should actually put him in an area of the pitch that suits his abilities. I mean, you know, a bit like Jurgen, but you maybe should have done that a little bit earlier. By the way, I've got no problem with copying managers at all. I've got no problem because everyone thinks made everything up, which makes me laugh because he took everything from Johan Cruyff and put it in his team. By the way, inverted fullbacks. Bob Paisley was doing that for Liverpool in the 80s. Stevie Nicol. So, you know, everyone, you know, all this stuff is everyone copies. I ain't got a problem with it. If you've got the players to do it, do it. You know what I mean? You got Trent now who can easily play inverted fullback and go into midfield and do what he does. Yeah. Do it. Well, I don't know why we took so long about it. It's mad to me.
It's Klopp, though, isn't it? He realizes when it's too late.
You see this midfield as well. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to ask, what happens when Mo Salah, which is going to happen because it happens every single year, when Mo Salah goes through his 8 to 10 games where he's not scoring or assisting, who do you look for to get these goals? You ain't got no Salah to
That's where Diaz has to come in, isn't it? That's where Diaz has to come in. But you're forgetting Diaz before he came.
Are you confident that Diaz can do that?
Diaz before he came to Liverpool scored 14 goals for Porto. That in the beginning of the season. So I know it's a different league. I know it's a different league and all that stuff. But this is what we expect from him. I'm hoping he's going to become that player. You know what I mean?
Do you know who I'd take on a free? I'd even take Saha. I don't know why. I don't know why no one could even have him as a backup. I mean, look, when I say that,
why not Asensio on a free?
Or even Asensio, yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? I know obviously with his ACL, he's not been that great, or that he's not as high.
Still gets goals.
Yeah, absolutely. So he can be a backup option. We definitely do need to. What G is saying there in terms of the backup when Salah does have he does have these issues. Yeah, you definitely need someone. That's what we definitely need someone.
Baz,
change formation. You have to change system.
Jamie, do you guys oppose like sometimes like if we could get another left-footed player that can play on the left side sometimes, like get crosses in the box or something like that? Are you guys opposed like different like for games? You know what I mean? Why don't if it doesn't work out? If it doesn't work out in games, why don't we just like switch wingers and someone crosses the ball in? If it can happen.
If Salah ain't doing it, and you take him out the firing lineup, why can't you go Darwin and Jota up front in the two?
You could do that as well.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just change it. Like,
because we legitimately players. What pisses me off, and I think what annoys a lot of people, especially this season, is that we actually have the players to do these systems and change it up and be better than they show.
Exactly.
No, you look at Darwin's career. Darwin, when he was at Benfica, liked playing off another player. He liked that link-up play. He didn't want to be the player that had to link it up and then run into the box, like Haaland does. That's not what he wants to do. He wants to, play off a player, get into
Number
space,
10.
and try and finish. Yeah, that's what he likes to do. So why don't you play him up front with Jota?
You could, and this is another thing
And
as
people
well.
forget, with Jota in his career when he started football, he was a number 10. You know what I mean? So he can play as a number 10 as well. That's what people don't know.
And Nunes will be. I'll tell you one thing as well. Nunes, obviously, we talk about Nunes about his inconsistencies up front and stuff like that. But when you think about it, this is why I was just going to talk about the midfield bit. Yeah, if you've got some fresh midfielders you got a few eights that can go up and down and whatever. Yeah, he doesn't have to do a lot more work. He just needs to stay up there, or and he is going to be more consistent with it. He's doing too much, and that's why his numbers are still quite decent. Yeah, in terms of what's going on. Yeah, but if he stays up front, if he does stay up front, he's more likely not to burn off his energy consistently with the pressing and how we play as a team, and he'll have more opportunities up front. So,
do you guys think? Yeah, I'm just thinking about this. Do you guys think that we should also try and maybe start looking at trying to get goals from midfield as well to kind of alleviate the stress on the strikers at times? Because obviously, it's like if I look at, I know we keep comparing, but if I look at Manchester City, if Haaland, which has maybe happened 3 times this season. But when you're looking at, if he's not having a good game, De Bruyne, he can get you a goal. Gundogan, he can get you a goal. Bernardo Silva, and it's not even just him. Odegaard can get you a goal. There seems to be Grimares from Newcastle. He'll get you a goal. Joe Willock will maybe even get you a goal. I'm looking at them. They're just the teams ahead of us. Bruno Fernandes, he'll definitely get you a goal. I'm looking at these players and I'm just like, why is it we seem to always have, since Klopp come, midfielders who just won't score that many goals? But obviously, when you've got a strike force that we had in Salah, Mane, and Firmino,
it's understandable.
Just leave it.
But then at the same time, I'm just like, maybe we should try and see if we can, get some goals. Maybe allow midfield to express themselves. Look at Gini Wijnaldum. For Holland and for Liverpool, it was night and day. For Holland, this guy was a goal scoring machine because of the position that he played, which told me, so he can actually score goals. When he came to Liverpool, I don't want you to, it's like Klopp told him, I don't want you to get anywhere near the box because that's just not your role. That's fair enough because it obviously worked. But I don't know. I was just wondering, do you think that maybe we should try and look at, can we get some midfielders
don't you think that?
I think it's the way we play. Sorry. The way we play, I think Jurgen Klopp is like, listen, your job and your job only, right, is to break out that midfield, work hard, and just give it to Salah, give it to the Firminos, give it to the whoever's, you know what I mean? But I think these players, like you're right, you're absolutely right with the Gini thing. Gini was a Liverpool player, and he was just he was just that deep lying midfielder, But, you could say to him, listen, right, you see what? We're going to take one from over here. We're going to put that in midfield. I want you to express yourself. Or even in a game, it's you can potentially bring in, you could take off a Salah, for example, if he has a stinker or whoever, And you can have a midfielder that does that and give the responsibilities of, someone like a Gini or a Mac Allister. Mac Allister could still score goals from he does.
He's just from outside the box as well.
So we do need that. And the thing is, what I liked a little bit, okay, I'm not sure what your views are with Curtis Jones, but you know what, he brought a little bit of that. But he was instructed to do certain things.
Simple.
He is getting goals from midfield and stuff like that. So we definitely do need that because we can't always rely on these forwards. But one thing we definitely need as well, though, in all of this is we do need someone that's going to be able to thread a ball in, pass a ball. You know, these low blocks. We've had issues over years after years after years with low block teams. So the midfielders that we do get in needs to have at least that in their locker.
Be the difference in those type of games. Yeah.
We need it because you know what I mean. It's another option.
When you 100%, by the way, Baz, everything you said, I'm with you on that one. And I'm looking at, for example, we look at the Aston Villa game. I know obviously you can say we don't have the players and stuff like that, but it's always been like this. Even in a game like that, things are not working out. What we're trying to do isn't working. Instead of you, as you said, I don't know, and this is just me just thinking just stupidly, pushing Trent further into playing maybe number 10, for example, because we know how good he is at. I don't know, just something.
That's not stupid though.
Instead of, but no, well, I know some people might say, "Oh, he doesn't," but you know what I mean. Just
Something
it always
different,
just seems to
basically,
me that all we do is, if someone's not playing well in the match, it's like he's like my Sunday league manager used to do. He's not playing well, so I'm just going to take him off and replace him with the exact same person to do the exact same thing. And I'm like, that's not working though. So why not? Trent, we don't even I don't even know. For all I know, Trent could be this sick number 10 that we just never knew about, you know, in life, because he's so good at pass and he can do those kind of passes. I've seen him try those kind of passes.
Yes.
So I don't understand why that, and I'm just using Trent as an example, but I don't understand why you're not saying, you know what, fuck it, we will go to the two deep lines, and then you've got the number 10, and then whoever you've got at the back. Trent, you go in that number 10 position, just play it around there. We don't need you to, you forget defensively now. We don't need that. All I need you to do is when you get the ball, eye of the needle pass. That's all I need from you.
Take a shot.
As an example.
Yeah.
Like, why we not? It just seems like he just, do you know what I mean? But it's like, he keeps taking off like players. And I'm like, okay, so you just took off, I think the other day he took off like Diaz, and I can't remember who he put on the left. And I was like, okay, well, the guy that you're just telling to come on, you're asking him to do the same job. So you might as well just kept Diaz on, because he's just doing the same thing.
Exactly.
There's no point in what you're doing. I thought when you do substitutions, it's the change up. I'm not talking about going to a mad formation before anyone thinks I'm trying to go crazy. I'm just saying some players in the team,
something out of the box. Basically, something the opponents will shock the opponents. They don't expect. Yes, I always say that.
I think Liverpool should play the Christmas pudding formation. So, guys, so we're going to have to wrap it up there. It's been a great chat.
Big up.
Before we go, I just want to know from everyone, how much do you think we're going to spend in the summer? How much do you think we're going to spend in the summer?
About 150, if we're lucky.
Wow.
If we're lucky.
that doesn't even sound a lot, which is crazy.
It's not.
I know.
It's not a lot.
It's not a lot.
It's not a lot in modern day football.
But if you like, the thing with me, I've always said about spending. I've always had this thing with spending that, like, you can spend 500 million, but if you're buying duds, you've wasted 500 million.
Yeah.
If you spend 100 million and you find 3 quality players, because we've always said it. I think me and Gia spoke about it before. There's so much talent out there.
Yeah,
on a free
that ain't actually that expensive as well. Well, the thing about free transfers, the reason FSG never do free transfers, because it actually costs more getting a free transfer than it does buying someone, because they get more wages and more signing-on fee. That's why FSG never buy a free transfer. But yeah, you can buy it. You can, you can get decent. You can get decent, very well, not decent. You can get very good quality.
They need to watch Jamie. They need to watch GTV's. He shows bruvs on these youngsters that you can get for peanuts, bruvs.
You can get out there, man. Fozzie, how much you reckon we're going to spend?
Mate, if we don't sell players, probably less than 100 million. I mean, we have to sell, don't we, guys? So we ain't gonna sell nobody. So less than 100 million.
I ain't too worried about the sell to buy stuff. My always thing is that you got to do.
I don't think this summer we're going to do that.
I just think
there's no one to sell.
I just think do it properly. Do that properly. I don't think I actually think we're going to spend a lot of money this summer.
Really?
Wow. And the only reason is because they got no choice. They've literally got no choice. We're not going to be in the Champions League next year. They've literally got no choice.
Jamie, but we said the same thing about Bellingham. You know what I mean? They had no choice but to sign him. And now, look, we're not going to sign him. So
no, we got Tyler. Like you guys said earlier, Tyler Morton's going to be the next best thing. So that's one less midfielder.
With the Bellingham thing, I will say with the Jude Bellingham thing, to be on their side on this, is that they said they had the valuation of Bellingham, which is around the 80 million mark, right? Yeah. And Dortmund said no to it. Now I'm hearing Real Madrid are going to buy him for 84 million. So it's obviously Real Madrid have bullied, their way into it and got what they wanted, like they always do. But if Liverpool valued him for 80-odd million and that was the money they're going to spend, then that thing was going around social media. Liverpool did actually make.
This is what pisses me off as well. Like, why doesn't Klopp use his influences at Dortmund? Like, I don't understand. I just don't get it, man. Just use your influences. You know what I mean? You manage that team. That team is there because of you.
This year I think it's a bit different because remember, you know what? They can win this title now. I think, you know, with what's going on, I think they just they couldn't negotiate. They weren't prepared to negotiate. I don't even think they've negotiated. They've agreed a fee anyway. I think it's just more like verbal agreements between the players and there's things, and it's just the formalities. You know what? They've won the league. They're getting money. You know what? We'll take 90 million for him. You know what I mean? Something like that. 87.5.
I think Bellingham ends up. I think Bellingham ends up at Man City.
Really?
I think
that wouldn't even surprise me, Jamie.
It wouldn't surprise me.
At Man City, because if you're Bellingham watching that game, why the hell would you go to Real Madrid right now?
Exactly. It needs a lot. It needs a surgery, that team, doesn't it? It needs
Benzema runs
that white shirt though. It's that white shirt and it's that power. Some of these youngsters look at now, isn't it?
But how long would you be willing to wait? You know what I mean?
But the thing is, though, you look at Tuchemeni and Camavinga. They don't get a game really.
No.
Yeah.
You don't care.
Modric and Kroos are staying there. I think Bellingham takes his thing quite seriously. I think if Bellingham's going to go to Madrid, he's going to go to be a starter. I don't think he's going to sit behind the scenes like Camavinga and Tuchemeni are right now. Mm-hmm. I think he takes himself proper seriously and he'll go to be a starter.
God, if he goes to flipping City,
I look at Benzema. They need a lot of. They talk about Liverpool being an old team.
Yeah, they need investment. They do. But the thing is, they'll just do that like that.
Benzema runs like Hendo. You know, he's done.
He's done, man. After that game, man, forget about it, man.
You got, and the players they brought on are crap.
They're crap.
You know,
Jamie, they can just spend the money though. That's the thing. Money ain't no thing because you know the thing is,
so can City.
Yeah, so can City. But remember this, all right? Man City they are that team. They are that team that's winning everything, and they're probably the best in the world at the moment with it. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, but remember this: Real Madrid don't need to do a lot of pulling. Yeah, I mean they've got the stature, they've got that stuff. They'd be like, yo, come and be a Galactico. But you know what? We'll give you this.
True, but this talks, bro. This talks, man. You know what I mean? You never. But the thing is, but you look at Man City. They got Portuguese players. They got Spanish players. They got all the best the players from all around the world. You never hear them say, "I want to go to Madrid or Barcelona," because this talks, bro. This talks. Money talks, bro.
But this is the thing. Madrid can offer the money. That's the thing. And not only that, going to play for Madrid, you know the sponsorships that they get as well.
And not only that,
that's money as well.
I agree with Jamie to a certain extent about Bellingham because they do need a replacement for De Bruyne. De Bruyne, what is he, 32, 33 now? So who's going to be taking his role in the future as well?
I wouldn't want to be a De Bruyne replacement. I know that.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm following that footstep.
Yeah, that's boy.
If there's any midfielder out there's closer to that, you know what I mean?
I did say that earlier on, like a few, like before the Jude Bellingham thing, you know, the Madrid thing. I did say, you know what, Kevin De Bruyne needs replacing. You know, Bernardo Silva. They've got players that, you know what, they don't have many like Liverpool, but they have one or two that they just need to like get in a youngster in there and they fit the system. So he'd be perfect for them.
Also with the Jude thing, I don't know if he's all that.
Oh,
I really don't. I don't know what he's good at.
I like him, but yeah.
I don't know what Jude's good at. And every time I ask somebody what's Jude good at, they can't tell me. So
I can tell you, he's basically a Steven
Gerrard, yeah.
He's a Steven Gerrard. He's like a Barella.
Energy.
That's like some high level praise. Like
I don't
know. In terms of
his what do you think, G? Like, what kind of player do you think he is? I think he's similar to that.
I think Jude Bellingham is one of those kind of. Yeah, like I look at Rice and I'm like, I feel like you offer me more on a football pitch than a Jude Bellingham does. So why would I go and sign Bellingham when I could just get Rice, who's probably for me a better player? Bellingham might. Honestly, like I think Bellingham's good. I don't want anyone to think, he thinks he's shit. I think he's a good player. But I've never, and I've remained consistent in saying, when we were looking at signing, I was like, really? Like, are we really going to spend this much money on this guy? Like, you're talking about sums of money for a guy who hasn't done it at that level for me to want you to spend that kind of money.
But not yet, though, innit? That's the thing. Not yet.
It's 19.
Yeah, but again, I'm not looking. He doesn't also look like a player that I'm thinking, in 5 years' time he's just going to be, as you say, as good as Steven Gerrard. I'm like, Gerrard, like, whoo.
No. But, so let
Remember
me
you
get,
said it. So that's high praise.
So let me
I'll say that in
me
that conversation.
all right,
No, but
clear
he said something close to Gerrard.
Yeah,
That's
but
what he said.
let me clear. So let me clear.
I
it
feel
in
like the
one
only
place.
person close to Gerrard is Kevin De Bruyne, and Bellingham will never touch that level.
Do you know?
He's
Okay.
never.
The thing. Okay. No, I hear what you're saying with that. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. What I see in this guy, right? He can keep the ball. He fires up a team. He's got some brilliant shots on
He
him.
does that.
He's got all those things in him, and that's what Steven Gerrard did have. And you know what? Depending on what team he goes to, if he goes to Madrid, yeah, I don't think he's going to be a Steven Gerrard.
No,
Definitely not,
No,
because
yeah,
he needs to go to a club like a Liverpool.
That's gonna nurture him. That's gonna nurture him.
Oh
But
my
maybe
God,
that
Bruno Gamara
focal point.
should have just been sent off. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Has he?
But
No, he
but
should have
Rice
been.
is a
He
better
should have
player. Rice is a better player for what we need as well.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Yeah.
Declan Rice is a quality player that people are starting to actually take attention of now. But
Yeah, he
there's
should
people
have
out there
sent
still don't rate him because his name's Declan Rice. It's as simple as that. If he had an exotic name and his name weren't like Declan, you know, people would be like, "Oh, he's a player. He's a player." It's unfortunate for some reason in this country we put down our own, and I don't get it. I really don't get it. I really don't get it. Declan Rice
They get overrated a lot. I think that's the problem, Jamie. Not him.
Yeah,
It's
But
the
they
price
get
tag. It's the price
overrated.
tag on them. Yeah, I think he's
Why,
costing
why do you think? Why do you think it's
like?
like that in England? Why do we do that? Like, why are we in
Media.
England?
It's the media. It's the media. They just hype. They gas them up too much from when they've just literally laced their first boots. This guy's brilliant. He ain't even gone on the pitch just yet. Then he has like England international.
What happened? What happened to that Chelsea boy who was linked with Bayern Munich?
Callum Hudson-Odoi.
What happened to him?
Oh,
He's alone
Germany.
somewhere, isn't he?
He's
He's
in
alone.
Leverkusen and
He's in Germany, but he's doing all right over there. But not.
I thought he's meant to be the next big thing.
Didn't he pick up a serious injury or something? And then
He did, I think.
Yeah,
He
then
did.
he wasn't the same after that.
We got to be careful with these young guys. I think with
Yeah.
Jude Bellingham, it's best to let him mature and just
Yes.
Yes.
He needs to be nurtured.
Let him do his thing first, and
let
then
him
we
see
can
where
judge
he is
him.
when he's 21, 22. Instead of putting all
This
his
is what I'm
time.
saying. If he came to like a Liverpool or an Arsenal, or a club like that, not like a team that has like a Man City who have got like maybe other, or Barcelona or Real Madrid that have got like star players. If you want to see the best of this guy, yeah, you got to put him in a club like Liverpool where he can grow, where he can be that big fish in a small pond. And then when he does leave, and I'm talking in terms of like as a player, not Liverpool, he goes to Madrid. He goes with that stature, that Steven Gerrard stature, like Chelsea wanted when they wanted Stevie G.
When we look at, like, just before we go, when we look at like a Jude Bellingham, the way people speak about him, I was like, right. You would have thought this was when Mbappe was 17. Like when we saw him, like when everyone saw Mbappe at 17, you just knew that this was this is just going to be a world-class player.
Of course.
You like, it was just one of those things, like universally around the world, everyone knew, okay, this guy is something. And this guy was playing for Monaco. It's not even like he was playing for, the top. He was playing for Monaco. But then we look at Bellingham, and I feel like people speak about him, in the same kind of breath. And I'm like, nah, I definitely don't get that kind of feeling with him. But that's not to say that in 2-3 years' time he doesn't turn out to be the. Like, I don't know.
He has the potential. He has the potential.
Yeah, he's got the potential.
But the thing is, G, you're 100% right. The thing is with people, they just prejudge people too quickly. It's like world class. It's like world class players. Like we throw world class. Like it's easy. I remember when I was growing up as a kid, we used to say Pele, Maradona, Cruyff, best, and then whoever can make it into that Maradona eventually and all that stuff. That's how we used to judge players. Now world class is just thrown to anyone. He's world class.
Anyone has a good season. Saka. I mean, they'll call him Saka.
Don't.
No, but Jamie, you heard it, and I was just like,
you heard it, Jamie. It's true.
I'm not. And the thing is, if you then turn around and say no, it's like, oh, but you're being disrespectful. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm saying, how about you do it for 3-4 seasons?
Player.
Do you get what I'm saying? You do something.
Big up Goonally. I love Goonally. Watch the show, but big up Goonally.
Ben Doak's better.
I'm saying it right now. I still wouldn't have Saka over Mo Salah if I had to pick a right winger.
Of course not, because Salah's a world-class player. Like, he just wouldn't do that.
I'm not having it.
Who questions that, man? Come on.
No, a lot of people. A lot of people
do.
Saka is a fantastic talent. There is no doubt about it.
But he's not that level yet.
Nah.
That's the key word, talent. Even Jude Bellingham, talent.
I think Arsenal. I look at Arsenal's team, and I think they've got a good side, right? I think if Arsenal don't get their transfers right in the summer, I think Arsenal could struggle next season because
I agree.
I
The
think
pressures will come from somewhere else.
Champions
Not
League
just Man
is going to take a lot out of their young squad because in Europa League they rested a lot of their players in certain games, didn't they? In Europa League, and were able to keep their team quite fresh without injuries. Next season, you can't do that in Champions League. You have to play your best team every game.
But not only that, Jamie.
They're going to learn. They're going to learn the hard way.
Not only that, Jamie. Like, what pressure did they have other than Man City this season? If we come up next season and sign the right players, the pressure could be too much for them as well in the league. You know what I mean? When you get in pressure from different directions, it will be like unbearable for them. You know what I mean? They never experienced something like that.
I literally think we will be back next season. I look at the way we're finishing this season. We're going to probably finish fifth, this team should nowhere near be fifth, how bad we've been this season, right? And that shows me how bad the league is in general this year. And I think Liverpool will be back in that top four next season with the right players coming in as well and freshening up the team.
The right decisions.
Chelsea,
the decisions need to be it.
Chelsea's going to be a weird one with Chelsea. I don't know. I don't know how. Look, they got a loser in Pochettino. He loves losing, so I just don't know how.
What is he going to improve, guys? Like Pochettino, like what other managers have tried. Is he better than the managers that left?
I think Tuchel's a better manager than Pochettino, but Tuchel left Chelsea because the owner kept interfering too much. He doesn't like that, and they bounced off each other. And then they got Frank Lampard in, who's not a human, let alone a manager. And then you're getting Pochettino in, and Pochettino, if you look at what Pochettino is as a manager, he's a yes man. He will work very well with the owner, right? Extremely well. And what Pochettino is very good at is coaching young players. I'll give him credit for that. Pochettino is very good with young talent, up and coming young talent. And Chelsea got quite a lot of that in their squad. So maybe they're looking at the long term. But let's see. Let's see if Pochettino loses 7 games next season, 8 games next season.
I'll be about a job centre very soon. Don't worry about that.
I don't know what they're going with Chelsea. Chelsea could be winning the league next year or finishing 10th. I think they're that club at the moment. I literally think they're that club at the moment. They could get it right and bang and go. Or
they're going to be 5th next year.
Or they just are where they are. It's a mad one. It is a mad one.
Crazy club, man.
I think we're going to spend. Between 150 and 200 million this summer. And the reason why, and before I get G's answer as well, what he thinks, the reason why I think Liverpool go spend around that much money is because an article that came out today saying because Liverpool have actually fallen into the Europa League, their wage bill is going to almost be cut by 40% next season. Liverpool, and the reason is because the mad thing is, if Liverpool won everything last season, we would have made no profits because of the way we do wages. So the way FSG work is everyone gets a basic wage and everyone gets so much on top for rewards. And because Liverpool have been quite successful the last few years, going to many Champions League finals, running City close to the league, winning the league, winning Champions League and all that sort of thing. These players have been getting massive rewards on top of their wages every single season the last few years. And because we're not in the Champions League next year, the wage bill is going to be cut by 40%, which means it's freed up the owners to actually spend the money. And because the stadium is going to be done, the cost of that's going to be finished with as well. So, they're going to spend, they're going to get some of that back from sales, there's going to be a £20 million here, a £15 million here, a £10 million here, and so on and so forth, letting some players leave the football club, freeing up wages. So I think money will be spent. I think what will happen is fans will go, right, they've spent, and what will happen is they won't spend again for another few years. And that's going to be the issue. But we will spend this summer, and I don't think I've got any doubts about that, G.
No, I'm with you. I think this summer we'll end up spending, I think it will be 150 upwards. I just don't think it'll be as many players as we probably think. Because you've got to look at, if we was looking as an example, if we tried to sign a Mason Mount, that's going to set you back about another 50 million. You still got Mac Allister, that's about 65. That's just 2 players. Then you're still worrying about the other 2 set of players, for example, if you only sign 4. So then you might be looking at maybe upwards of, 150 million. I just think, for me, I don't care how much they do spend. Just buy the right players to take you to whatever level that we're trying to get to next. So for me, I'm looking at it, and I agree. I think we'll be in the top 4. I don't see us challenging next season, because I still think it will be more dependent on everyone else. If they do their business, what they kind of need to. Arsenal, I don't think they need to do that much. If they do a little bit, I feel like they'll be in and about. I'm not saying they'll win or anything, just they'll be there as well. Chelsea could be stronger. Man United, I think they'll be thereabouts again as well. And obviously Manchester City, I don't see us. We're too far away, in my opinion, from that kind of challenge at the moment.
I think everyone's too far away, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. One season, and look at the difference between us and them.
You know what's scary, guys?
We've moved so far away now, it's crazy.
You know what's so scary, guys? They managed to transition this season and win the league, and they're getting back to win 2 leagues. They did the transition and winning titles at the same time. That's scary.
But this is the thing with Man City. You don't even notice a transition.
Yeah.
And
you don't even.
They've only been top of the league for 3% of this season.
There you go, bro. Look how scary that is. Look how scary that is, people, man.
So it doesn't matter where you are in August, September, October, November. Exactly. It matters where you are in May, and that's it. And that is it. And that's when.
Remember that, Arsenal fans. Remember that. Just saying.
Yeah. It's all done. It's all.
That's not get us involved there. I don't want Arsenal fans messaging me, man. Please.
Right, they got to take the banter. They got to take the banter as much as we've taken it.
On that note, fuck Arsenal. Right, see you later, guys.